COVID-19 regulations established by the Ministry of Health, the House has designated areas that are used by the senators. The main chamber has been cut down. The accommodation in the main chamber has been reduced significantly to ensure safe social distancing. Outside the chamber, there is an extended chamber which has been established to accommodate the rest of the members who are unable to be accommodated within the main chamber. This afternoon, the Basic Education Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of 2020, will be read for the first time. The bill seeks to amend the Basic Education Act to ensure that school-going children in Kenya are provided with milk. Through this amendment, the national government shall be required through the respective county directors of education to supply milk to all public schools in Kenya. School milk programs not only positively contribute to the growth of the dairy sector, but they also improve nutrition and increase school attendance. This is according to the author of the bill, Senator Beatrice Kwamboka. The senator argues that the schools taking part in the program provide a guarantee market for milk for smallholder farmers who produce about 80% of Kenyan milk. The senator also argues that school health and nutrition interventions have been recognized as critical in addressing the Millennium Development Goals of universal basic education and gender equality in educational access. Another bill which will be read for the first time this afternoon is the Kenya Citizenship and Immigration Amendment Bill. The principal object of this bill is to put in place mechanisms for the protection of the interest of Kenyans living abroad and to ensure their active participation in the socio-economic development of the country. The collective community of Kenyans living abroad play an important role in the development agenda of the country. For instance, foreign remittances account for a substantial percentage of the gross domestic product. The bill seeks to enhance these contributions while simultaneously tapping into the skills and expertise of Kenyans living abroad. The senator for Murang'a County, who is the author of this bill, argues that the state is expected by the Constitution to safeguard the welfare of all the Kenyan citizens, be they home or away. It is on this premise that the bill has also proposed enhanced Kenya mission services and provided a framework for the voluntary establishment of associations of Kenyans living abroad. This two-pronged approach will ensure that not only is the state aware of the challenges of its citizens abroad, but also Kenyans living abroad can collectively advocate for their needs. Another bill which will be read for the first time this afternoon is the Copyright Amendment Bill. The principal object of this bill is to amend the Copyright Act number 12 of 2001 to ensure that the national anthem is safeguarded. If you're just joining us, the Senate proceedings are about to begin, and on your screen is the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Senator Professor Margaret Kamar. Now I will hand you over for this live broadcast, which is also streaming on YouTube, courtesy of the Parliament of Kenya YouTube channel. Enjoy your viewing.
Prayer. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberations in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our church. Amen.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions.
Honorable Senators, Chairperson, Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. There's a petition. Vice Chair. In substance of both, we shall skip that. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Chairperson. Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. I hope the senators are hearing us if they're in the other chamber. Any vice chair of the committee, Standing Committee of Finance and Budget? Motula, we are informed you are a member of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. Please proceed to lay on behalf of your chair. You could be trying to come from the other chamber.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, 16 September 2020. Report of the Standing Committee of Finance and Budget on the Equalization Fund Bill, National Assembly number 43 of 2019. And 2, the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the Prompt Payment Bill, Senate Bill number 5 of 2020. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. The next statement is from the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation. I'm informed the chair has already sent a word that he will not be available, so we will proceed. The next one is from the Senate Majority Leader. Senator Dulo. The report on the 2019 Kenyan Population and Housing Census.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, 16 September 2020. The 2019 Kenya Population and Housing Census Basic Reports, Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 4. I thank you.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notice of motion. Order number 7, statements.
Honorable Senators, I'm a bit sympathetic with chairs who have been here and their reports have not been given, statements have not been given. I would therefore like to use my discretion to start with statements pursuant to Standing Order 51-1A, the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights, if he's here. He's in court. Yes.
The chair of Justice and Legal Affairs Committee had handed over the statement to me to read on his behalf because the matter concerns the delegated legislation committee.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead and make the statement.
Allow me to take a copy of the statement.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 51, 1A of the Senate Standing Orders to make a statement relating to matters to which the committee is responsible, namely consideration by the Standing Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs and Human Rights of various regulations relating to the COVID-19 pandemic. Madam Speaker, at the sitting of the Senate held on 21st of April 2020, the Deputy Leader laid on the table of the Senate the Public Health Declaration of Formidable Epidemics Disease Order 2020, the Public Health Prevention, Control and Suppression of COVID-19 Rules 2020, the Public Health COVID-19 Restriction of Movement of Persons and Related Measures 2020. Annexed to the latter were Public Health COVID-19 Restriction of Movement of Persons and Related Measures orders in respect of the Nairobi metropolitan area, the Mombasa County, and Kwale County. These rules and orders are referred to in this statement as the COVID-19 regulations. As the Sessional Committee on Delegated Legislation was yet to be constituted at that time, the Honorable Speaker of the Senate committed the COVID-19 regulations to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, Human Rights for its consideration pursuant to Section 12 of the Statutory Instruments Act, Act number 23 of 2013, and the Senate Standing Orders. Madam Speaker, the committee commenced scrutiny of the rules and orders immediately, and on 22nd April 2020 published an advertisement in 2 newspapers with national circulation, inviting stakeholders and the public to submit their views on the rules. The committee further invited the regulation-making authority, in this case the Cabinet Secretary for Health, to submit written proposals, written responses to specific queries and concerns that had come up during the scrutiny of the regulations by the committee. The committee examined the COVID-19 regulations against the Constitution, the Public Health Act, Cap 242 of the laws of Kenya, the Health Act, Act number 27 of 2017, and the Statutory Instruments Act, Act number 23 of 2013, the Interpretation and General Provisions Act, Cap 2 of the laws of Kenya, and the standing orders, Senate standing orders. The committee further considered the impact that annulling the said regulations will have on the fight against the pandemic in the country. Madam Speaker, at a sitting of the committee held on Wednesday, 8th of July, the committee resolved that the COVID-19 regulations be acceded to. The committee has since communicated the decision to the clerk of the Senate, who is pursuant to Standing Order number 2214A, required to convey the resolution to the regulation-making authority. In considering the regulation, Madam Speaker, the committee made several observations and recommendations, two of which I wish to bring to the attention of the Senate. A, delays in submission of statutory instruments to Parliament. While the regulations submitted to the Standing Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, Human Rights for consideration related only to COVID-19 pandemic, the committee did observe that there was an inordinate delay by the executive in submitting statutory instruments to Parliament for approval. Section 11 of the Statutory Instruments Act, Act number 23 of 2013, requires that every Cabinet Secretary responsible for a regulation-making authority to, within 7 days after the publication of the instrument, ensure that a copy of the instrument is transmitted to the responsible clerk for tabling before the relevant House of Parliament. This provision with regard to COVID-19 regulations was not complied with. To illustrate, one, the Public Health Declaration of Formidable Epidemic Disease, Order 2020, was published on 27th of March via legal notice number 37 of 2020 and submitted to the clerk of the Senate on 16th of April 2020. This was 21 days from the date the order was published. Two, the Public Health Prevention, Control and Suppression of COVID-19 Rules 2020 were published on 3rd of April via legal notice number 46 of 2020 and submitted to the clerk of the Senate on 16th of April 2020. This was 14 days from the date the rules were published. Number three, the Public Health COVID-19 Restriction of Movement of Persons and Related Measures 2020 and the orders made thereunder were published on the 6th of April 2020 via legal notice number 50 of 2020 and submitted to the clerk of the Senate on 16th of April 2020. That was 11 days from the date the rules were published. The timeline set out in the Statutory Instrument Act for submission of regulations to Parliament was therefore not complied with on all the three sets of regulations. The immediate impact of that was that the regulations being tabled in the Senate on 21st of April 2020, it will not have been possible for the relevant committee to consider regulations, undertake public participation, engage stakeholders, table its report thereon, and have it considered in plenary before the time the first set of orders made under the Public Health COVID-19 Restriction of Movement of Persons and Related Measures Rules 2020 lapsed on 27th of April 2020. The committee will have engaged in a purely academic exercise. Madam Speaker, the committee did raise the matter with the Honorable Attorney General during a courtesy call at the State Law Office on Monday, 6th of July 2020. The Attorney General indicated that the Cabinet Secretary have consistently been advised to ensure that they comply with Section 11(1) of the Statutory Instruments Act, Act number 23 of 2013, regarding timelines of submission of statutory instruments to Parliament for approval, but some delays were still being experienced. He therefore undertook to set up a tracking mechanism at the State Law Office to monitor and ensure that whenever regulations requiring approval by Parliament are published, they were indeed submitted to the clerk of the respective house within the specified timeline. B, lack of or insufficient public participation in making statutory instruments. Madam Speaker, Section 5 of the Statutory Instrument Act requires regulation-making authorities to undertake appropriate consultation before making statutory instrument and sets out an elaborate procedure for ensuring that persons likely to be affected by the proposed statutory instrument are accorded an opportunity to comment on its content, on its proposed content. Once again, this requirement appears not to have been applied by regulation-making authorities as intended, with ministry coming up with all manner of excuses to avoid compliance. In the case of COVID-19 regulations, one, the Public Health Declaration of Formidable Epidemic Disease, Order 2020, is dated 20th March, was published on 27th March 2020 and submitted to the Clerk of the Senate on 16th of April 2020. The period of 46 days, however, and as our ministry admitted in its response to the committee, no public participation or consultations were undertaken regarding that order. Two, with regard to public health prevention, control, and suppression of COVID-19 rules 2020, which were published on 3rd of April 2020, the Cabinet Secretary advised that emails were sent to specific stakeholders for their input to the rules on 2nd of April, with a requirement that they submit their comments thereon by 10 a.m. on the 3rd of April. Such organizations that were invited to comment on the rules submitted to the committee that they received the said emails on the evening of 2nd of April, and that by the time they were able to send their comments on 3rd of April, the rules had already been sent for publication, which was done the same day via legal notice number 46 of 2020. Madam Speaker, this clearly demonstrates that there was no impetus on the part of the regulation-making authority to undertake appropriate and adequate consultation before making these regulations, while at the same time, the ministry wanted to give the rules a cloak of legitimacy via a hastily undertaken and ineffective public participation exercise. With regard to the public health COVID-19 restriction of movement of persons and related measures, Rules 2020, and the orders made thereunder, the committee did concur with the explanation given by the Cabinet Secretary for Public Health, Cabinet Secretary for Health, which was that it would have been impractical to undertake public participation on the rules, as citizens will have been alerted to the proposed containment measures and thus flee the infected area before restriction of movement were imposed. Madam Speaker, after the initial set of COVID-19 rules were committed to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights for consideration, the Sessional Committee on Delegated Legislation was constituted by the Senate on the 28th of April 2020. Consequently, the subsequent sets of regulations on the pandemic, as well as regulations touching on other matters, have been referred to and considered by the Committee on Delegated Legislation, chaired by my counterpart, the Senator from Mombasa County, Senator Mohamed Faki Munyihaji. The present statement, therefore, relates only to the first set of regulations which were committed to the Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights Committee, and not other regulations, orders, and rules that have subsequently been referred to the Delegated Legislation Committee. In concluding, Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the organizations and members of the public who sent submissions to the committee during the consideration of the COVID-19 regulation. I further wish to thank the members of the committee for their diligence in undertaking this assignment, and the Office of the Speaker and the Clerk of the Senate for facilitating the committee in its work. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I will allow one intervention from Senator Kilonzo Mutula Jr.
It's only one comment, Madam Speaker, that in our work we have found that there's a direct contradiction between the Public Health Act, which was assented to in the 1940s. It has offenses, it has things that were done in the 1940s and therefore not in tandem with the Health Act. And therefore, I think the Delegated Legislation Committee must recommend that the Public Health Act must be repealed. Two, it was also very unfortunate, Madam Speaker, that whilst the wearing of masks was outlawed, the standard of masks and the provision of masks by national government was not implemented. And part of the concerns we had, Madam Speaker, is that even before the lapse of the period for Parliament to make a decision on this matter, the national government had already, and several people had already been charged in court and found guilty for offenses which we had not approved. And therefore, Madam Speaker, on this pandemic, I want to say that these regulations and the work we did was purely an academic exercise. These regulations became law before we could even start having our first sitting. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The next statement is from the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, Senator Sagaja.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this statement is pursuant to Standing Order 51(1)A. It's a statement that, of course, would have come earlier, celebrating 3 great Kenyans by the Labor and Social Welfare Committee, and of course, by extension, by this Senate. But, Madam Speaker, it is not too late, because their memory must go to the record of this House, that the Senate of the Republic of Kenya recognized them and paid tribute. Madam Speaker, I wish to give a tribute to a magnanimous departed hero of this republic, the late Charles Bukeko, popularly known as Papa Shirandula. As I do so, Madam Speaker, I would also like to mention and give tribute to 2 renowned Ohangla musicians, Bernard Onyango, better known by the stage name Abeni Jachiga. I can see Senator Uta is very happy. And Maureen Achieng, popularly known as Lady Maureen, who passed on 11th June 2020 and 11th July 2020 respectively. Madam Speaker, these artists have contributed in promoting art, culture, and our national heritage. Papa, as he was commonly known to many in the entertainment industry, was an icon and a thespian extraordinaire, whose sudden transitioning left many family, friends, colleagues, the entertainment industry in particular, the nation and the global community as a whole, in awe and at a loss and a gap that indeed will take time to recover, Madam Speaker, and to fill. On behalf of the Senate, Madam Speaker, and on behalf of the Standing Committee, and this committee, we oversight 3 ministries, one of which is the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Heritage. We continue to support the ministry and give courtesy of our oversight and legislative roles in creating opportunities for artists, growth of local talent, and preservation of national heritage, culture, art, and artistic practices for sustainable communities. And therefore, Madam Speaker, it is against this backdrop that we give this statement, cognizant of the contributions that these 3 great artists, and especially Papa Shirandula in the creative industry, has been able to make. Indeed, he was a prolific and talented actor and concept creator. He was also a father, a husband, and lately, he was a goodwill ambassador to several Asian nations. I therefore wish to recognize several of his traits that have contributed not only to his illustrious career as a thespian, but also traits that have led to the growth of local content in this country, and entertainment, and a rebirth of classic entertainment, Madam Speaker. He was born in a humble family in a small village in Busia County. Reports indicate that his rise to stardom was not a walk in the park, but a tough journey that dates back to 1998. A journey that saw him surmount many ups and downs and leverage on opportunities so as to be where he was at the time of his demise. Amongst the most notable, Madam Speaker, was his experiences with poverty and its attendant challenges, including being forced to walk several kilometers to the Kenyan National Theatre, where he applied his art, and 2, the patience to be mentored by renowned actors, including Ian Bugwa, and his commitment to training and mentorship. Of course, this also includes James Falkland and the rest at the Kenya National Theatre and the Phoenix Players, where I met him when I was also acting once. And a seemingly impossible and accepting and rigid local entertainment architecture that was back then addicted to foreign contact, Madam Speaker, and especially Mexican soaps that had filled our television screens, thereby unappreciative of local talent and content. But even with these challenges, he was determined to excel, including in finding a new concept for a new Swahili local program to make it acceptable. This culminated in the birth of the program, Papa Shirandula. Needless to say, Papa made a name for himself, and we salute the strength and persistence of the departed hero. He was a pace-setter and a good example to upcoming young thespians, and he was a classic example of what not to do to find an easy way out, but to persist against all odds, to follow one's passion in order to achieve the insurmountable with one's integrity intact. Remarkably, during an interview, he was quoted as saying, "Initially, it almost seemed impossible since Kenyans preferred Mexican soaps that were ruling the airwaves. But today, I'm glad that I have made a name for myself both locally and abroad, where I'm always referred to as the African king of comedy." In his own words and an advice to aspiring artists, the late Charles Bukeko stated that they should never give up in achieving their life's dreams. It all comes down to patience, consistency, and persistence. They should always remember that life isn't about how much money you have, but the difference you make in someone's life. Indeed, this should be a life lesson to young people, even old people, Madam Speaker, and all of us who are yearning for success by hook or by crook, that virtues are a key determinant to success. Madam Speaker, apart from Papa's notable traits that propelled him to the highest pedestal in the entertainment industry on this continent, the committee recognizes and lauds his tremendous achievements spanning 2 decades. Apart from being the renowned household character on the television series, he was featured in several movies, among them Fernando Miela's excellent adaptation of John le Carre's novel, The Constant Gardener. He was recognized through an award-winning movie, Marooned, by Bob Nyanja, where he played the role of a watchman. He featured in Pambazuka, the Kenya National Theatre, and Makutano Junction, which aired on national television, while his program, Papa Shirandula, won the award for the Best Comedy category. He was well known in South Africa, having featured in a Vodacom advert, where he played the role of a dictator. And he will be remembered for his funny moments in a global Coca-Cola advert that was voted the 2000 Advertisement of the Year globally by the Creative Circle, and that achievement, Madam Speaker, cannot go unnoticed. Amidst all his achievements, some of which I may not be able to enumerate at this time, and I'm sure members would know, the committee takes note of the late Bukeko's contributions as an advocate for creativity and a goodwill ambassador for Southeast Asia, and that, Madam Speaker, was his character and signature. In one of his writings, Aristotle says that man is at his best when he's doing his best at what he likes doing best. Indeed, Papa Shirandula is one of those men who is revered by many and applied this philosophy as an epistle in his life through his personal commitment to the dignity of creativity, no matter the insurmountable journey. Those who knew him know that he worked tirelessly to bring a smile to people's faces and laughter to the world. He enriched the lives of many. We will indeed have a reservoir of memories of his traits, tenacity, and achievements, an example that will live forever and will not be lost in the midst of time. Madam Speaker, in honor and in tribute to the late Papa Shirandula, Madam Speaker, this House must continue and strengthen the resolve of ensuring, and I'm glad I can see the Vice Chair of ICT is here, that, Madam Speaker, we push the policy of local content, minimum local content of 60%, because, Madam Speaker, that is the only way we can be able to grow this industry and our young people, and not let young people think that talent is only in other parts of the world, but also in this country. Madam Speaker, may his soul rest in peace. May the soul of Lady Maureen rest in peace, and Abeni Jachiga rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Senator wako Sitswila Amos, on our behalf.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak in remembrance of a great Busian called Papa Shirandula and all other artists that have been mentioned. Senator Sakaja has more or less said it all, and I don't want to add anymore because of the brevity of time, except to say that he loved his work. He was a mentor to many, and I'm sure there'll be many more Shirandulas coming and acting like Shirandula. Madam Speaker, artists, and here I now speak generally, are not given the due place in Kenya. We are far behind countries like Nigeria, our neighboring country here, Tanzania, which has really encouraged their artists in a very big way, to the extent where They are now even contributing to the international scene. And I wish to thank the national group of newspapers who had an agreement with Papa Shirandula, which enabled him to appear frequently on nation television. And I would wish to encourage other, it was Citizen, my friend Waruru, Citizen, not Nation. So I mentioned Nation because I used to be director there, but it was Citizen. And I would like other television networks like Now Nation, like KTN, and many others that have come up to encourage our local artists. Madam Speaker, it's very, very sad that there are reports that our local artists are being exploited, in fact, are being defrauded of their earned income. There are reports to the fact that, to the extent that they only get 10% of what they have actually earned in terms of royalties, and in some cases 1%, and that the rest of the percentage, whether it's 90% or so, goes to the management of that. Madam Speaker, sir, we know that administrative costs and management should not take more than 15 to 20% of the income, really. In fact, in many cases, World Bank, they'll say only 5%. But here, when it comes to copyright matters and intellectual property matters, 90 to 95% is being taken by management fees. And I would like us to go into that. I know there's some petition here, and I'm looking forward to a reply, a statement on that petition so that we can see how we can benefit the local artists. When I was the Attorney General, Madam Speaker, one of the areas I really focused on was this very, very area. And during my tenure, we enacted a new Copyright of Kenya Act, which was consistent with the international practice and so on. But people have not benefited from that because of what I've just outlined, Mr. Speaker, sir. And what prompted me to come up with that legislation was when I noticed that some of our very old, well-known artists, even the composers of Malaika and so on, had died in poverty, some of them in Kibera, in one room, next to a sewage and so on. When in America, there would be the people who would be staying in a Karen, they would be staying in Mudaiga and so on. So we have a lot to do. And all this is part of the overall development of the country. So I would wish the government to focus on this area of encouraging our local artists. They die poor, and if there's anything that can be done, I think one of the Wangla musicians who died, it was said that she died in really poverty and so on. If there's any way in which we can step in and assist the families of the bereaved, I would be very much on the forefront in assisting that. With those few remarks, I thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Senator. I had said I'll be giving one person, but because Baba Shirandula was a Kiswahili man, let me give the Senator of Kilifi, Mazayo Stewart Mwachiro. Mazayo.
Asante Bispika. Pole Bispika, nilikuwa kidogo naongea na mkubwa wa kiongozi wa walio wachache, ndugu yangu Senator Orengo. Bispika, pia mimi pengine ningependa, sio pengine, pia mimi ningeweza kujiunga na ndugu yangu Sakaja kwa kumsifu na kuweza pia kuwatakia faraja ile familia iliyompoteza. Tunajua Papa Shirandula alikuwa mcheshi sana na watu wengi karibu Kenya nzima iliweza kumtambua. Ni mtu aliweza kuleta tabasamu, aliweza kuleta furaha wakati wa jioni, watu wakiwa wanapata burudani zao ama wakiwa majumbani kwao wanastarehe na familia zao. Bispika, tukisema hivyo pia tusiweze kusahau viongozi wengine, haswa zaidi tukiweza. Bispika, kuna kelele kidogo zimezidi pande hii, sijui kama unaweza kunisaidia.
Order, senators, please console in low tones.
Bispika, kama upande wa pwani pia vile vile tungeweza kuona kwamba wale ambao wanaweza kutambuliwa kama Mekatilili wa Menza aliyepigania uhuru wakati ule. Bispika, imekuwa utovu wa nidhamu katika serikali kwamba hawawezi kutambuliwa baada wameweza kufariki, na ni miaka mingi iliyopita. Huyu ndio alikuwa mama wa kwanza katika utekelezaji ama upiganiaji wa uhuru aliyepiga mzungu kofi. Kwa hiyo na akafungwa, na hatimaye alifungwa katika jela ya Kisii, lakini kwa ujasiri wake aliweza kutoka na akatembea na maguu wakati huo mpaka akarudi nyumbani Kilifi. Kwa hiyo watu kama hawa hatuwezi kuwasahau katika historia ya nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mama kama Mepoho pia alikuwa mpiganaji mkubwa wa uhuru. Hivi juzi tu mwaka uliokwisha tuweza kupoteza bibi ya kiongozi aliyekuwa kiongozi wa pwani wa kisheria wa hali ya juu sana na kitaifa, bibi ya Ronald Gideon Ngala. Huyo mama alienda namna hiyo na hakuna kiongozi yote katika taifa aliweza kutambua, isipokuwa pengine katika kaunti ndio aliweza kusema amefanya mambo makubwa na apewe zawadi ama apewe ngao fulani ya kuweza kumtukuza kwa juhudi zake alizokifanya kama bibi ya marehemu ya Ronald Gideon Ngala. Kwa hiyo tunasema tu ya kwamba watu kama hawa wasiweze kupoteza hadhi ya Wakenya, waweze kusifika, manake waliwacha nguzo na mienendo ya kuweza kufurahisha ama kuweza kusaidia watu wao ama jamii ya Wakenya wote. Asante sana, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. The next statement is pursuant to Standing Order 51-1B, and I want to call on the Chairperson of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. Are you in 51?
No, I'm in 47.
I can skip.
Yeah, but you start with 47 before you go to this.
That is what we did. I announced that. I can see the chair of Agriculture and Livestock is not here. So we go to the Chairperson, Standing Committee of Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. Not around. Then the last one is a statement from the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Education, to make a statement relating to activities of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 51-1B to make a statement on the activities of the Standing Committee on Education for the period commencing 13 February to 30th June 2020. Madam Speaker, during the period under review, the committee held a total of 13 sittings, considered 3 bills, 6 statements, and undertook 1 inquiry. The committee also held 1 engagement with stakeholders. Madam Speaker, in the period under review, the following bills were considered: the County Early Childhood Education Bill, Senate Bills number 26 of 2018, and the Kenya Sign Language Bill, Senate Bills number 15 of 2019. Madam Speaker, as you are aware, the National Assembly amendments to the County Early Childhood Education Bill 2018 were referred to the committee on 13 February 2020, After considering the amendments to the bill, the committee recommended that pursuant to Standing Order 159.4 of the Senate Standing Orders, the Senate rejected some of the amendments by the National Assembly. Consequently, the bill pursuant to Article 112(2)(b) of the Constitution, the bill was referred to a mediation committee. Madam Speaker, the committee also considered stakeholder submissions on the proposed county vocational education training bill, a bill sponsored by the committee, and resolved to recommend the bill for publication. The bill is presently undergoing the publication process. Madam Speaker, regarding statements pursuant to Standing Order 48.1.6, statements were referred to the committee during the period under review. The committee sought reports and responses from the executive and its agencies, which were received and considered at various cities. However, Madam Speaker, while considering these responses, the committee found some of the responses to be inadequate and inconclusive, and a couple of them elicited supplementary questions. In this regard, the committee has engaged the Ministry of Education to provide conclusive responses to these statements. Majority of the statements requested from the committee during the period under review are on the effects of COVID-19 pandemic on continued learning, challenges posed by school closures, and strategies being applied by the government to facilitate continued learning and resources allocated to help learners, teachers, and parents during these unprecedented times. Madam Speaker, the committee has been engaging with the Ministry of Education and other like-minded decision makers and education leaders in order to come up with a way forward and inform decisions and prioritize the interests of learners, parents, teachers, and reverse any devastating impacts of the school closure. Madam Speaker, as you are aware, the measures taken to contain COVID-19 make it difficult to operate normally. Specific means and tools of oversight that are central to our functions are being greatly hampered. During the period under review, the committee had scheduled to carry out inquiries into the early childhood development education landscape in the country and implementation of the sector policy for learners and trainees with disabilities through oversight visits and study tours. However, following the outbreak of COVID-19, the committee was unable to conduct any county and site visits. Nonetheless, Madam Speaker, the committee has put in place a business continuity plan, and we have resolved to carry out these inquiries virtually. Already, the committee has written to both levels of government, and we should be reporting to this House soon on our findings. Madam Speaker, in the period under review, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, going forward, the committee also intends to continue with the inquiry into the effects of COVID-19 pandemic on education and challenges related to the continued closure of schools. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Chair. Education, we will wait for your comprehensive report after this week. Then we can contribute on that statement. Honorable Senators, we now go back to statements pursuant to Standing Order 47.1. And out of a special request, I would like to start with the fourth statement, Senator of Vihiga, Senator George Hanire.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me that first opportunity in that particular category. I rise pursuant to the provisions of our standing orders, in particular Standing Order number 47, paragraph 1, to make a statement on a matter of inter-county concern. That is the planned development of Maseno area to an education center and town funded by the Kisumu County government. Madam Speaker, first and foremost, I would like it to be on record that I'm not in any way opposed to development projects being implemented anywhere in Kenya and Vihiga County in particular. However, all development projects should be undertaken within confines of the law and ensure value for money for the public. This planned development, though in good faith, will most likely only work to increase hostility and animosity around Maseno area, especially from the residents of Vihiga County, because it is being undertaken on a contested area. Madam Speaker, the boundary dispute between Kisumu and Vihiga counties at Maseno is a historical issue that spans many years back. I have raised this issue severally in Parliament. Most recently, in the 11th Parliament, on the 5th of March 2015, I requested for a statement in regards to this boundary when residents of Emabungo Ward complained to me that the county government of Kisumu had constructed a road that disenfranchised them. And in the 12th Parliament, Madam Speaker, I again presented a petition to this House from the residents of Vihiga County complaining about the same issue, that is the disputed boundary. It was the advisory of the Senate then that since Article 188 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 requires legislative provision, the matter will be better addressed after the enactment of the County Boundaries Bill 2017, which will provide the procedure for establishment of an independent commission, the mechanism for alteration of county boundaries, and a framework for resolution of boundary disputes between counties. I believe, Madam Speaker, that this is the way to go about this issue. Madam Speaker, under the Constitution 2010, IEBC has no jurisdiction over county boundaries. It is a shame that 10 years after the promulgation of the Constitution 2010, we have not enacted legislation to handle this very sensitive matter. I know there was an attempt by this House, by Senator Mutula Kilonzo, but we were told that the bill was a money bill and therefore it could not originate from the Senate. It is gathering dust in the other house, in our neighboring house. Madam Speaker, I believe one of the most important principles in the Constitution of Kenya 2010 is public participation in governance. The boundary issue in Maseno, being both emotive and contentious, must have an amicable solution at some point. Meanwhile, since development must be undertaken and residents' concerns addressed, there must be consultation and public participation when county leadership decides to undertake development activities. The residents around Maseno, especially the Vihiga side, have concerns which include access to services, expenditure of the revenue collected, management of the institutions in the area, and employment. These are all valid concerns that must be addressed. The main reason why this area is of great interest to both counties is because of the high concentration of institutions which seem to benefit only one county. Having these institutions is not a bad thing, and what needs to be done is to ensure equity of benefits between the two counties and the residents. Madam Speaker, silence and peaceful coexistence should never be taken for weakness. They are actually strength. While the residents of Vihiga and the political leadership of the county chose peace and allowed the planned function to proceed uninterrupted, the county government of Kisumu should take this opportunity to initiate dialogue and consultation before further action on the planned development. I know the governor of Kisumu is a great intellect and politician, and we can agree to have an amicable solution to this contentious boundary. If the leadership of the day fails to solve this issue urgently, the animosity and mistrust created by the unilateral decisions of developing the area will persist and erupt at the slightest provocation and reverse all the gains. And lastly, in conclusion, Madam Speaker, my advice to the Vihiga County Government Executive under the leadership of the Governor is that history will judge us very harshly if you fail to defend the boundary integrity of Vihiga County. The current dispute and tension was created by leaders who failed to defend and bargain for fair delimitation of districts then. The mistake must be corrected now, and the governor of Vihiga has that mandate. To the Senate leadership, the issue of important pieces of legislation from the Senate gathering dust in the National Assembly in the name of concurrence must be addressed now. The life of the current parliament is past the halfway mark today. The sibling rivalry between the Senate and the National Assembly is affecting Kenya as a country. The institution of parliament is already established in the Constitution, and the expectation of the public is better pieces of legislation, oversight, and representation from the bicameral parliament, and not the current underhand supremacy battles. The County Boundaries Bill 2017 and other Senate bills currently in the National Assembly must be debated, passed and forwarded to the President for assent for the betterment of our beloved country. For the people of Mabungo Ward in Vihiga County, rest assured I will stand with you to ensure that the issue of Maseno boundary is resolved through the laid down legal provisions. Madam Speaker, I thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator Haji Mohammed Yusuf.
Thank you
It has
very much.
attracted a lot of attention, sorry, Senator. So I'm going to give 2 minutes to senior, but 1 minute to the next two people. 1-1. 3 minutes for senior because he was in provincial administration.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I was a DO Maseno in 1969, and I very vividly remember, before some of you were born here, yeah. And I remember very vividly, as a young officer, for the first time in my career, I saw somebody killed on the border of Maseno and Vihiga. The irony here, Madam Speaker, is it is not only Maseno and Vihiga boundary issue. Boundary issue is all over the country. And many people have lost their lives. Even places like Kapedo and Baringo, many people have lost their life. In Garissa, Marsabit, and Ethiopia. Well, Ethiopia is another country altogether, but within Kenya itself, what is surprising is that government after government is not able to resolve this issue. Yet, since the colonial time, the boundary of each and every district of this country was known. And all we need to do is get the surveyors. Just like we are doing, when I was PC in Rift Valley, I remember we reinserted the pillars of the boundary between us and Ethiopia because we followed the maps which were there. Why are we not able to do the same thing in our own country? I don't think we need any legislation as such. It is just a question of determination and doing what is right for Kenyans. So, Madam Speaker, I can understand the feeling of my brother, my son, I will say, because I campaigned for him when I was PC. During those good days. I think we, as a country, will resolve that boundary issue must be resolved as soon as possible. Otherwise, we'll continue losing people. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Wetangula Moses. Let's try 2-2.
Madam Speaker, the statement by the Senator for Vihiga is apt. The Districts and Provinces Act is very clear on what the boundaries are, and it's a terrible indictment, Madam Speaker, to Parliament, particularly the National Assembly, because we passed a bill in this House to give effect to Article 188 of the Constitution, 2010. It is still queuing in the lower house. I want to urge Senator, now Governor Anyang' Nyong'o, that the issues of boundaries are not only emotive but can be potentially destructive and costly. Any unilateral act in dealing with boundary issues can easily have catastrophic consequences. And I want to encourage Governor Otichilo and Governor Anyang' Nyong'o and all the leadership, including Fred Outa, the Senator for Kisumu, and George Khanir, the Senator for Vihiga, and all the leadership to sit down and address this issue in a calm manner. People have fought even on individual land ownership boundaries, leave alone where resources are involved like counties. And nobody has the right to arrogate himself the power to deal with a disputed boundary. And we have many. Pokot Turkana, we have Makueni Machakos, we have Makueni Kitui, Machakos Kiambu, we have Machakos Muranga, we have Pokot Turkana, we have many, many of these boundaries that are existing. And if everybody behaved the way Anyang' Nyong'o is behaving, then we can ignite a fireball in the country. He has to stop it, and the committee of this House in charge of devolution and security sitting jointly should invite him to appear before these committees to bring him to order. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Let me go gender and go back to senior. We have another senior ready. So gender, Senator Lokorio Betronila.
Thank you.
2 minutes.
Yes, 2 minutes. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to join my colleague and thank him for this statement on this border issue with Maseno. Madam Speaker, I want to condemn as well what Professor Anyang' Nyong'o did, knowing very well the issues that are abound in Maseno. I spent 4 years in Maseno, Madam Speaker, and that issue is a time bomb. My friend and village mate Ted Malanda describes what Anyang' Nyong'o has done as watching your neighbor dress your wife. Yes, watching your neighbor dress your wife, take your wife to the salon, and all, just because he's better endowed. Kisumu is a city, and it thinks that because it's better endowed, it can lord over Vihiga on the Maseno issue. Vihiga residents may be humble, may be peaceful because they are people of Mulembe, but it does not mean that they need to be sat on at all by Kisumu County, because Kisumu County thinks it's a city and Vihiga is small. So, Madam Speaker, I condemn, and I want the loud consultations behind me, I know where they are coming from, to give me a chance to finish this and condemn this act. As Senator Haji has said, this from 1969.
There is a point of order from Senator Masitsa Naomi Shionga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My point of order is that who is this neighbor's wife that my fellow senator is dressing in this particular content?
Senator Betronila, is it a real wife?
I know. Madam Speaker, that was used metaphorically. Okay. Yes, it's also called figurative speech. The wife in, let me just educate my dear friend, Senator Shionga. Yes, remaining. I have 10 seconds. The wife in this case is Vihiga and the neighbor is Kisumu. And because Kisumu is a city, it thinks it's better endowed and it can therefore go around dressing other people's wives. So, Madam Speaker, I condemn. Thank you.
Thank you. Senior Senator Wako.
Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this very important matter, particularly for the people of Vihiga and the people of Western Province generally. Madam Speaker, this is a problem that has been there since independence. It has been there for a very long time. And these people of the area have at all times been petitioning. I know Kenyatta was petitioned, but I also know that President Moi was petitioned over this particular matter. When I became Attorney General, my first duty was to delineate boundaries for district and provinces. Now, the issue there, which I did, and a cartographer was appointed. He went round all the 47 districts, which are now counties, and actually delineated the boundaries. Now, the only problem that was there was that the boundary which we are now talking about was more than a district boundary. It was a provincial boundary. And the provincial boundaries were at that time under the Constitution delineated. So the cartographer could not, through his work, bring to Vihiga what was rightfully theirs. But in his report, he said that area belongs to the people of Vihiga, but you cannot do so now because it was a provincial boundary. So that is the issue that was there at that time. Madam Speaker, the Senate, through Mutula Kilonzo Jr., drafted a bill to solve this very problem. And I was on the committee. And we told him, Kilonzo, please draft this bill. Now, the bill was drafted. It's a very good bill. But as you have heard, it is lying in the National Assembly. And the National Assembly have said it's a money bill. Madam Speaker, sir, Madam, I did state yesterday that on the case which is before the court, that as we are solving bills which touch and concern counties, a new problem is arising, that the Speaker of the National Assembly is now saying every bill, even which does not touch on a money bill, that's a money bill. And as you know, money bills can only be considered in the National Assembly. Consequently, I would say, Madam Speaker, that we really proceed and ensure that Mutula Kilonzo's bill is expedited so that we can deal with this problem. But as my chair said, it's a problem that touches other counties also. In fact, I believe there could be about 15 to 16 county boundary disputes in Kenya about that. And we need to deal with this problem very, very quickly because issues of boundary are very, very sensitive and they can easily cause chaos. They can also, Madam Speaker, affect the delineation of constituency boundaries. In fact, I remember at each election, the people of that area have always petitioned and said, we as this group, we want to be put together with our brothers on the Vihiga side. Because they are a minority.
Thank you, Senator.
They are a minority. And consequently,
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Senator Cheriot, Aaron Kipkurui. Then I'll take two last ones, please, because the statements are very many and statement hour is only 20 minutes to go.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is a very serious issue that is being canvassed on the floor of the Senate. And I agree to the sentiments that have been made by our colleagues who have taken great exception to the conduct of Senator Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, now Governor for Kisumu, in how he has handled the boundary disputes Madam Speaker, I'd wish to bring it to the record of the House that this is not the only dispute and issue that Senator Governor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o is involved in that is causing so much chaos with his neighbors. We have a neighboring town between Kisumu and Kericho known as Sondu, Madam Speaker, and Governor Anyang' Nyong'o, through such acts as what he has done in this Maseno town, has caused so much tension in that region because of his misconduct. We have a similar complaint where he has done the same with the town of Moroni, which is a border town between Kericho and Kisumu County. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I do want to propose to you that you refer this matter to the Committee on Devolution, as has been proposed, so that he comes before this House and briefs us on what these expansionist tendencies that is beginning to get late in life are meant to achieve for the great people of Kisumu. We want to coexist peacefully as neighbors, but his provocations are not auguring well for the coexistence of counties that live close to Kisumu. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I propose that he be invited before this House so that he can elaborate on his plans. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Mutula, 1 minute.
Madam Speaker, number one, this Senate must condemn the actions of Professor Nyong'o, because Professor Nyong'o was here when we proposed the County Boundaries Bill. Number two, Madam Speaker, I would like to thank Senator Yusuf Haji, because in their deliberations on the Building Bridges Initiative, Senator Haji requested for the bill, and Senator Haji, in the Building Bridges Initiative, the only way to protect counties is protect their boundaries. This Senate must say that we cannot delimitate constituencies and wards and leave counties. So IBC must be told to stand down until we can deal with the question of boundaries. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I raised this issue yesterday, that the National Assembly through the Budget Office is declaring the work of this Senate as money bills without any deliberation. Somewhere in a room, somebody sits and says this is a money bill, Madam Speaker. So this Senate must find a way, Madam Speaker, and speak authoritatively that the work of this Senate under Article 123 is not going to be trashed in the manner it is going on now. We must condemn it. And lastly, get Professor Nyong'o here. I agree with the idea of the expansionist policies behaving almost similarly like Hitler behaved in 1914 and 1945. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, we condemn those actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator of Kisumu, Auta Frederick Otieno.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Senator for Vihiga for bringing this statement. And I want to assure this House that Vihiga and Kisumu, we've been coexisting in peaceful manner for a long time. And as a Senator of Kisumu, it will be my responsibility to make sure that the peace continue to exist between Vihiga and Kisumu. And if there is anything that will be able to disturb the peace between Vihiga and Kisumu, it is calling upon us as the leadership of Vihiga, especially here in the Senate with my brother Haniri, the Senator of Vihiga, to be able even to call a barasa and invite all the leaders, because we don't want to degenerate where there will be a conflict between us. Madam Speaker, between Kisumu and Vihiga, if you could go deep in the lives, how we live there, you may not be differentiate whether they are coming from Vihiga and Kisumu. And that's why, if it is only a matter of boundary, that will bring conflict and disturb the peace that we have lived for centuries, then I personally, as the Senator of Kisumu, would never want that thing to happen. And therefore, I want to persuade, if the governors are hearing us this afternoon, the governors where they are, the governor of Kisumu and the governor of Vihiga, we will take an opportunity lead to invite a meeting, a big barasa between Vihiga and Kisumu. And this will be also extended not only Vihiga, and also between Kericho and Kisumu, and Nandi and Kisumu, because we want to live together. These are my neighbors. And therefore, we really want to be able to make.
Senator. Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, I know everybody would wish to make a comment. The statement hour is ending in 15 minutes, and there are some statements that I have seen must be done today. I want to direct that this statement be referred, although it was under 47.1, it be referred to the Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Affairs. And when the governor is invited, the chair will openly invite all other members to come here. Then I think if we can make a statement on that properly, the other disputes will be reduced. Point of order. What is your point of order, Senator of Maruma, Senator Maruma?
Asante, Bi Speaker. Hii statement ambayo imeletwa na Senator wa Vihiga ni muhimu sana kwa sababu kuna shida za mipaka kwa magatuzi mengi katika Jamhuri ya Kenya. Bi Speaker, niko na statement ambayo nilileta hapa miezi mitatu imepita kwa kamati ya security na kamati ya JLAC Justice kuhusu mambo ya mipaka kule Taita Taveta. Mpaka sasa, Bi Speaker, sijapata majibu. Ile statement ilikuwa inauliza kuhusu mpaka wa Taita Taveta na Makueni kwa sababu ya ule mtafaruku ulianza kati ya serikali ya Makueni na Taita Taveta. Na nilisema ya kwamba katika District and Boundaries Act ya 1992, wakati wa kuelezea mipaka ya Makueni District, ilisema ya kwamba Mtito Andei iko Makueni. Ikasema pia Mtito Andei iko Taita Taveta. Sasa nilikuwa nawauliza,
You have made a point. You have made a point.
Nasema hivi.
Yeah.
Nasema hivi kwamba tulikuwa tunataka ile kamati ya security waite watu wa internal security waje waseme, je, nyinyi kama county commander au county commissioner mnaanzia wapi mnafikia wapi? La pili, IEBC iko na kituo cha kupiga kura Mtito Andei. Sasa Mtito Andei ni Makueni kweli na kuna kituo cha kupiga kura Taita Taveta, cha Taita Taveta. Ndio nilikuwa nauliza, je, ni lini wataleta majibu ya ile statement? Asante, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, before I ask the chair to make a comment on that, I wanted to tell you that you don't even have to give. This is a very senior administrator, 1969, up to now. So he has, he will be able to deal with both. I know we made him very busy at BBI. Now he's free. Senator Yusuf Haji.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. First of all, I'm not aware of the request made by Honorable Senator 3 months ago because, as you very rightly said, I was on a leave of absence. But he has now reminded us, and I'll find out from my clerk what happened to it. As to the one of Vihiga, I take the order given by the Speaker, but I'm just wondering whether I'll be allowed to wear my uniform on that day and come with my swagger.
Senior Senator, you are more experienced than us on that one. I also would like to mention that if it was given to two committees, we had challenges with all statements that were given to two committees, and I think House Business Committee has since stopped that procedure of having two. So I think it will be okay from now because one committee takes, and the committee will have the liberty to invite any other committee if they wish, but there must be a lead committee in any of these statements. Honorable Senators, Statement number 1 by Senator Mbito. Mbito is not here. Senator number 2 by Falahada Iman. She is not in here. But I have been given a very special request that there is one statement that I approved earlier, which senators would like to speak to. And I would like to ask the Senator of Bungoma, Senator Wetangula, to make that statement. We'll come back to you.
Madam Speaker, thank you. I make a statement under Standing Order 47-1 on the alleged impending shutdown occasioned by the lack of resources of counties. Madam Speaker, the Senate has made concerted efforts to ensure that counties receive the requisite funds to enable them to execute their mandate and, most important, to deliver services to the public. Discussions with respect to the third basis for allocating among the counties the share of national revenue are ongoing. And Madam Speaker, you know this House has a committee of 12, co-chaired by myself and my distinguished nephew, the Senator for Nairobi. It is a matter that we are carefully deliberating on, and we shall resolve it and come up with a criteria that will benefit Kenyans. In fact, Madam Speaker, there was such a meeting at State House chaired by none other than the President yesterday. This notwithstanding, Madam Speaker, I am deeply concerned, and I believe so are the senators, by the statement made by the chairperson of the Council of Governors on the so-called impending shutdown occasioned by a lack of resources. And in his statement, he directed that with effect from today, county health facilities will not permit any inpatient admissions. They will only provide minimum outpatient services. He doesn't describe what that minimum means. All non-essential services are suspended, and county employees are advised to proceed on leave for 2 weeks. Madam Speaker, this is clearly an abuse of authority. The county governors COG group is not the employer of any employees of counties. The employees of counties, Madam Speaker, are employees of different county public boards. Governors have nothing to do with them, and they cannot send even a sweeper on compulsory leave. They have no such authority. So they are definitely exceeding their powers. Secondly, Madam Speaker, we have seen over and over again the chair of COG overplaying himself with authority he doesn't have, exceedingly abusing the Senate as an institution, abusing senators as individuals, making reckless statements at funerals, including one last weekend at the funeral of a respected Bishop Byram Makoha of the Church of God, and saying that Kenyans are suffering because of senators. How wicked can one be, Madam Speaker, to lay blame where it doesn't lie? This House does not operate in a vacuum, Madam Speaker. We operate with the executive, where all resources of the country are domiciled. We operate with the National Assembly, where appropriations are done. And we operate, Madam Speaker, with the counties themselves that have to tell us how much on-source revenues they are collecting. These hospitals that is purporting to shut down collect resources daily. What are those resources doing, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, I want to stand here and urge members to take great exception of this reckless misadventure by the chairman of the Council of Governors and remind him that he should bring his governors to order in terms of accountability and respect for public resources. We saw last week, Madam Speaker, 8 governors are on the radar of EACC. There is no single senator who is on the radar of anybody. He has to learn, Madam Speaker. that accountability of public resources use is not anybody's option. And when senators ask questions, he even had the temerity to call a committee of this House, Madam Speaker, as an extortionist gang. You remember what he said of CPAC, Madam Speaker, that it is an extortionist gang, and that when governors come here, they pay bribes to members of the Senate. We are not aware, Madam Speaker, of any single governor who has ever gone to any agency of investigations and governance to report that a senator has solicited for money from them for discharge of their responsibilities. This must come to an end, Madam Speaker, and I want to urge senators to voice your revulsion and disgust for this reckless behavior by a governor who has served in Parliament for years and who ought to know the boundary between the legislature and the executive. Tomorrow, Madam Speaker,
Is there intervention, a point of order from Senator
to finish off,
Sakaja?
Madam Speaker, tomorrow the committee of 12 is meeting from 7 in the morning. And we have no doubt whatsoever if the meeting at State House, which Governor Paranya attended and whose content and discussion he appears to have forgotten, by midday, we will have some white smoke. I have no doubt, Madam Speaker. And we want to assure the country that the standoff in this House has paid tremendous dividends to the people of Kenya. And they will live to remember this House, that the standoff has extracted money from the executive to the purse of the counties for greater development. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Gerard Gay Samson.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to support the statement by Senator Moses Wetangula, and I say the COG is suffering from leadership crisis, and they have what we call attention deficiency syndrome when it comes to national matters issues. One, I've had allegations that they want to dissolve Senate. For their information, Senate is a constitutionally established body. The COG, within a flip or a twinkle of an eye, we can dissolve because it is a statutory creation under the Act of Devolution Law, the County Government and Intergovernmental Relations Act. So the COG in itself is easier to dissolve than the Senate. And I want to advise, because I have seen they are cutting down on the essential services and medical services, that it is very unfortunate, Madam Speaker. They should cutting down on their usage of gasoline fueling vehicles, because some of the governors, Madam Speaker, are on a spending spree. They don't even live in their houses, Madam Speaker, they live in hotels. And these are governors that spend daily in running the errands within the county government. They are not ready for accountability and transparency, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is so sad to see somebody like COG chair taking Senate as a bogeyman in terms of their own problems. The disbursement of funds from June under the last financial year has not been disbursed. Why are they not blaming the National Treasury? Madam Speaker, we have been having a problem where integrated financial management system has been open at the wee hours when the sorcerers are more active than anybody else. Why are they not blaming them, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, these double standards by the Council of Governors must be called out. They should respect the Senate. Finally, Madam Speaker, you remember when we were arguing on getting 335 billion, Madam Speaker. They went behind our backs. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. and others walked out during the mediation committee, Madam Speaker, because we wanted 335 billion. They connived. They went from Pangoya Kando and agreed to 316.5 billion. That is why we have the problem of revenue as we're having today, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to confirm to the country as one of the esteemed 12 disciples to resolve the issue of revenue formula. By tomorrow we shall be having white smoke. And it will be a win-win for all Kenyans and of all senators and the counties that we have, Madam Speaker. The chair of Council of Governors and the Council of Governors, and we want to advise the EACC and DPP, let them put them on the radar, especially when they continue to misuse our resources. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator of Narok, Olekina Ladama. Let's try 2 minutes, please, because a good number of you would like to speak, and we want the non-members of the disciples. to have an opportunity to speak. Yeah.
Madam Speaker, it shocks me when I see the chair of Council of Governors, Governor Oparanya, who has been the governor for Kakamega for the last 2 terms. Madam Speaker, the county government of Kakamega received a disclaimer of opinion for 2015-16, 2016-17, and then last year, on 2017-2018, they received a qualified opinion. A disclaimer of opinion, Madam Speaker, is the definition of it is that the county government misrepresented facts in as far as their financial position is concerned. Madam Speaker, it shocks me because when you see these governors talking, every financial year, they project that they will raise about 1.6 billion in terms of Kakamega for the year 2016-2017 on ONSO's revenue, but only raised 500 million. Madam Speaker, today I hear that the Council of Governors has given orders to the other 46 governors to shut down counties. You know, this Council of Governors, Madam Speaker, is a club of boys and some ladies. I mean, it has got no consequences. This Council of Governors have been giving orders. They have told governors not to appear before the Committee of Public Accounts and Investment Committee. But most governors realize that Article 2265 will catch up with them. So they take their own personal responsibility and appear. And I want to say congratulations to those who are doing so, because it shows that they want to be leaders. I don't know what happens when you make somebody a prefect, they even now forget that they were once a student. Madam Speaker, it shocks me. This House is here to defend the interests of counties and their government. We are here to make sure that more money goes to the county governments. Earlier on, we were talking about issues of boundaries. Why can't this Council of Governors sit, if they care so much about the people, and first of all decide, let us resolve this boundaries issue? Number 2, why can't they sit down together in their club and say, from today henceforth, each county will conclude its spatial plan, we will be able to increase on our actual on-source revenue so that we can be able to move forward. But instead, Madam Speaker, they're always finding fault in the House which is defending their interest. Shame on them. It is about time that this House stand firm and defend devolution. Because if we have such characters, they will never defend devolution. In fact, they'll be thinking about becoming president if they cannot even run their own counties. What about this country?
Thank you, Senator. Thank you. It is done. Senator Ali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is shameful, to say the least. And these governors should be ashamed of themselves. When you know the whole cause of this impasse, as said by Senator Cherargei, they are the cause. They sat with IPEC, which is chaired by the Deputy President, when we were fighting in the Committee of Finance to push, and the whole Senate, and that's what they did. And now they complain. This morning, Madam Speaker, we had a meeting with Governor Oparanya, and I asked him questions because concerning counties. And he said specifically that they don't police counties. They just ask them for reports, and the reports are sent. What authority does he have now to police counties to tell them that send your staff on leave and we are closing hospitals? What a shame, Madam Speaker. And the worst part is this: when they know the national government has been eyeing that lucrative business of the Department of Health, and they want to take it back, he is giving them the opportunity now. When we are fighting for counties, we are fighting for devolution, he wants now the national government to take back the health docket because counties have failed when they're stealing everything. In my county, we say that the county leadership collect the money of the county in guineas, bags. That is what they do everywhere. And we are fighting for them here. We will continue fighting for more money for the counties because of our people for posterity, not because of this, I don't even know what word to call them. These Ganiba collectors who collect all the money from the county. They should be ashamed of themselves, and they should not look for political mileage by claiming now that this is what we have done and we are bringing money. There is no money they are bringing. The Senate will bring money to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Wambua Enoch.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want this to go on record that we are not just dealing with a failed leader at the Council of Governors. We are dealing with a big question without an answer. Governor Oparanya is not new to reckless statements, Madam Speaker. He appeared before the Special Committee on Mess and made very weird statements, including that he signed the mess project for Kakamega because chiefs and assistant chiefs were threatening him at funerals. Madam Speaker, this is a man who last year went to bed with the national executive and sold counties at 316.5 billion when the Senate was stuck at 325 billion Kenya shillings. 35 billion shillings. Madam Speaker, I want to state the following, that Governor Oparanya is hell-bent at calling on senators, this Senate, to entrench marginalization of counties like Mandera and Wajir and Kitui and Makueni and Kwale and Kilifi because he is gone to bed with the executive. Madam Speaker, on the letter that he has written to governors, I want to address my governor, Governor Charity Kaluki Ngilu. Don't touch that letter. Don't try to close a single hospital in Kitui. Because if you do, we will come for you. Madam Speaker, this Senate is serious about devolving more funds to the counties. And the governor of Kakamega, who says he is the chairman of COG, has no business, zero business in the sharing.
Honorable Senators, there's a lot of interest. We'd want to give as many people, as many senators as possible time. So it's only 2 minutes. Senator Mohammed Malim.
Madam Speaker, let me thank Senator Wetangula for bringing this important statement. Madam Speaker, the so-called impending shutdown of counties by the Council of Governors, the chairman, is actually is a joke. Governor Oparanya is behaving like a trade unionist. We know the role of trade unions in this country. In fact, even the biggest of them is not performing as required, so he will fail very badly. But, Madam Speaker, this Senate does not share its mandate with anybody. The Council of Governors have no business trying to tell the Senate what to do. Senate is here under Article 96 of the Constitution to defend counties, and we are doing that. Last year, or the year before, they forced us behind our back to accept a division of revenue bill, which was actually not what we wanted. They go behind our back, go to bed with the executive, and make sure they deny the counties money. This year, we're trying our best to make sure that the counties get enough money. The delay is caused because, you know, the money is not there, so we are doing our best. Now here they are, here he is, going around and say that Senate is doing our business. We don't share our job with him. Let him do his business. He cannot shut down any county. He is not in charge of any other counties. The county of Mandera, where my governor Roba is independent of Kakamega. So this idea of being a unionist should be stopped. Madam Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary for Treasury should also stop joking. The Supreme Court did say that he can give money to the counties. Section 134 of the PFM regulation authorizes him. He is now waiting for authority from the National Assembly. Shame on him. We can't accept that. Let this country be given the right it has under the Constitution. Madam Speaker, you know, counties collect on-source revenue. You know, there are this dependence always on the shareable revenue. A few delays in 2 months, they say we have no money. Collect that money, don't eat it, and use it for the people of the counties you're under.
Senator Ndwiga Peter.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am shocked that my good friend, Governor Oparanya, came up with that statement. Madam Speaker, I think everybody, all Kenyans, know the reason why we have had problems in the last 10 or 12 meetings is because Governor Oparanya, or COG, under the leadership of Governor Oparanya, they betrayed this house last year. And they betrayed Kenya last year. But they've been the first ones now to proclaim and tell the world that the Senate is holding money. Madam Speaker, Governor Oparanya, we have had 4 chairmen of COGs. But Governor Oparanya is the most colorless of all. Madam, you know, it's a shame that that Oparanya can allocate himself the duty of telling counties what to do. Madam Speaker, all of us know, we come from counties. There is no genuine reason why counties don't have money. All our counties, Madam Speaker, are collecting less than what the former county councils were collecting. Can we be told what is happening to that money? First, Madam Speaker, I think, Madam Speaker, I think it is time Kenyans were told the truth, and when we elect fellows to lead our small clubs, like Council of Governors, we need to check the kind of fellows we are putting in that position. Madam Speaker, last year we all know what happened here. We fought as Senate to get
Senators, we don't have enough time for this. This was done by the Speaker's discretion. Let's not interfere much. Let's wait. I mean, just give senators opportunity to air their views. Point of order. Yeah, I'll give it to you, but please quote your. Okay, Senator.
Madam Speaker,
Wambua.
Madam Speaker, in all due respect to the chair, the institution of the Senate is under attack. Counties are under attack, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in 2 minutes, these senators cannot express themselves. Madam Speaker, even if it means we stop the business of this House today and discuss the attack on counties, let us do it, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what the governor of Kakamega is trying to do is an assault on this House, is an assault, Madam Speaker, on counties. Madam Speaker, please give us more time.
Honorable Senators, there is only 1 hour for statements. This statement, it came under senators. It came under statements. So I'm going to go by the rules of the House. And I'm giving you 2 minutes. Senator Uchilo Ayako.
Point of order. Madam Speaker, can you just put the question on how much time we want to be given to speak so that you can see the mood of the House? But having said that, Madam Speaker, allow me to make my remarks because I've been queuing on this matter. Madam Speaker, the Council of Governors has become a council of gangsters. Actually, Oparanya is a gangster. He is a gangster.
You are on a point of order, please. Just state your point of order.
No,
I've not given you time.
I am queuing for the time, but I've asked, would I be in order to ask you to put the question as to how much time we are requesting to speak, so that you really represent us as Madam Speaker. The mood is to talk about the gangsters. That is the mood.
Yes, Senators, you have raised the issue. We are doing consultation and we are coming back to you. In the meantime, we continue with our 2 minutes. Yes, we are consulting and coming back to you. No, you're not going to stand. First of all, take your seats. Honorable Senators, take your seats. We must listen to one person at a time. Yes, Senator Langat.
Request that we take this one seriously. We are dealing with somebody who has denied human health in this particular country. He has already closed inpatients in all the hospitals in this country, has issued a statement, and we don't want to take that one carelessly. This is a criminal that he should be in jail. It's a murderer.
Honorable Senators, I have just mentioned that we are giving a ruling on that one. So that is what we are doing. In the meantime, Senator Sakaja.
Madam Speaker, I'm rising on a point of order.
Please do your point of order at the same time, make your contribution, please.
My point of order will contradict my contribution because the point of order is pursuant to Standing Order 34, which says that a senator may at any time rise in his or her place and seek leave for reasons stated to move the adjournment of the Senate for the discussing a definite matter of urgent national importance. So, Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the Senate do now adjourn to discuss a definite matter of urgent national importance, namely the statement by the Council of Governors issued today.
Now, Honorable Senators, you have stood up and I can see the numbers. But at the same time, on the floor of the House, we cannot change a statement with an adjournment.
No, Madam Speaker.
But these are the same rules of yours that we are talking about. So we agree, but let us go through the procedure. This is a House of procedure. Let's just do the procedure and we will change it. Okay. Honorable Senators, please have your seats. I'm making a ruling on that. Just have your seats. We are taken by, no. Honorable Senators, kindly take your seats. Okay, Honorable Senators, can you take your seats? The Speaker is on her feet. Please take your seats. Honorable Senators, let me make a simple ruling. First of all, you know the time is gone, and we have agreed that we are here for the purposes of our counties. And I've also agreed that much as the time is spent, we can add from 2 minutes to 5 minutes. I think that should take care of that you had. So let's continue. Senator Sakaja. Honorable Sakaja, can you make your contribution?
Madam Speaker, thank you. I'll make my contribution. I want to urge my colleagues to accept the ruling because, in any case, Standing Order number 34.5 limits contribution on a motion of adjournment to 5 minutes. So it's the same. Madam Speaker, we miss Isaac Ruto. Madam Speaker, we miss Peter Munya. Madam Speaker, we even miss Governor Nanok. And it is shocking to us how somebody who has been a minister for planning, who should be understanding processes, who has been a member of parliament for Butere, Madam Speaker, can act in such a manner, Madam Speaker. The action of today, Madam Speaker, leave alone what his opinions are about the Senate. The Senate can defend itself. Madam Speaker, we can bring a substantive motion to discuss the character of the individual, but what we're discussing today, Madam Speaker, is the threat to human life. Health
is an issue that is sacrosanct, Madam Speaker. We have done our work. In fact, I wish the leader of majority was here, or Senator Mwaruma, who I saw earlier, or any of those who were in State House yesterday, because I thought I saw Governor Oparanya. Was he just passing by? Did he come for tea and mandazi? Participate in that discussion, because the outcome of that discussion is a solution to the issue of counties getting money. Madam Speaker, because based on that outcome of more money being brought to the counties, we've agreed on the proposals. Tomorrow we will sit down in the committee I lead with Senator Wetangula. We are confident that there will be a win-win tomorrow morning, and we will sort it out. But let it not be lost upon us that the game that is being played between COG and Treasury, we can see it. The Treasury CS himself issued a circular at the beginning of this impasse, saying that based on the Supreme Court ruling, he is going to issue 50% to counties. When did he backtrack that circular? Madam Speaker, we would not even have been here if the Supreme Court ruling, the advisory, that ruling is not just an opinion. It is not a suggestion. It binds the National Treasury to give counties 50% of their last allocation. And I want to tell them, if anybody dies because they cannot access health services during this time, the blood is on their hands. Because the law has allowed you to give counties money. In fact, it is not you who gives money. People, you know, that issue must be clarified. Devolution is not national government giving counties money. It is the Constitution dividing money between both levels of government. And when the Constitution says, when the Supreme Court rules and says that this money must be given to counties, it must be done. In fact, we should take them to court for contempt, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, we're urging Governor Oparanya to really come back to his senses. Earlier today, I asked somebody when his term ends, and I'm sad that it's March 2021. But between now and March 2021, Governor Oparanya, wake up and come back to your senses. Number one, and I've dealt with them in the Labor Committee, members, it is disheartening. When any county or any health workers or any other category, when they are in an issue of negotiations, COG sits with them, they do a CBA, and then when they want to strike, they say that no, they are not our employees, so we cannot honor the CBA. So at some turn, they understand that they are not the employers, and at some turn, now they are saying the employers. I want to tell each and every governor of the Republic of Kenya that that statement is illegal. It is unconstitutional. It should not be obeyed by anyone. And I want to start with my county. In fact, now I'm happy with NMS, because NMS does not pander to the whims of that club called COG. Major Badi, do not try and touch a single hospital in Nairobi County. And all the 46 governors do not implement that illegal decree. Counties will get their money. They should be given their resources from the National Treasury as per the ruling of the Supreme Court, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, in fact, we need to summon the leaders of this House. Because apart from the statement and the photos, what was going on yesterday then? What was going on? Was he asleep? He looked like he was awake in that meeting. He looked awake. Or was that, or is it part of the plan, Madam Speaker? We need to understand. How do you leave a meeting with the Chief Executive of the Republic of Kenya, whom we all respect, who has agreed that now, in fact, you have agreed on 316, he said even I'll give you 370 because we stalled the process here. And in less than 24 hours, you issue such an illegal, obnoxious statement that you want to shut down hospitals. Hospitals. Where do you want my women in Mathare to go to? What do you want children in Kiamaiko to go to?
Senator Mutula Jr. Senator, you know, you take more. I mean, you move away from the real points and consumes most of your time. But anyway, 1 more minute.
Madam Speaker.
1 minute.
Thank you. You know, Madam Speaker, I must speak. And I must finish, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you can't say that the point I'm making it's my point. And I speak on behalf of millions of Nairobians. Finally, Madam Speaker, the statement issued against Nation Media telling governors not to advertise because they are being named for corruption is also illegal. Let them stop being a house or a club of illegalities, and let them know this country has a law, and we're glad the EACC spoke about that. Finally, please be warning senators, when it comes to about 5 minutes, that's when you put the light. You don't just go to red straight. Even traffic lights go in 3 steps. Thank you.
Senator Mutula Jr.
Madam Speaker.
Yeah, Honorable, just 1 minute, Senator. We have a system error, so you will be speaking from the dispatch.
Speaker, I've been looking for the definition of incompetence and the definition of gross misconduct under Article 181. Mr. Speaker, all those definitions of incompetence, misconduct, abuse of office are synonymous with Governor Wycliffe Ambetsa Opare. That's a new definition of incompetence, misconduct, and abuse of office. Madam Speaker, I'm telling Governor Kibwana, if you shut down level 4 Wote and Sultan Ahmud Hospital and Makindu level 3 hospital, pursuant to a memo issued by Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, we will impeach you. It's an impeachable offense for a governor to receive a memo from another governor and shut down a hospital. If any person, Mama Mwikali, Mama Mudeu, go to water level 4 to deliver a baby and you find it shut down and something happens to that baby, we will hold Governor Kibwana responsible. It's a fact. Madam Speaker, there's something about Governor Oparanya that makes the rest of the other Council of Governors chair look good. The incompetence is unbelievable. Madam Speaker, we must all ask. Yesterday, the same governor was in a meeting with the head of state. But it's even worse. We were in a meeting with the minister in charge of finance, with all the governors, whereupon it was agreed that the Supreme Court opinion is not an advisory opinion but an order. I'm going to suggest the following, Madam Speaker. Other than Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya, the person of the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Treasury must be discussed in the floor of this Senate. We do not have power to censure, but we must censure. Because that is the person, Madam Speaker, who is acting in cohorts with Governor Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya in an attempt to coerce us to move a formula the way they want. It will not happen. It is not going to happen. You are not going to force us. You are not going to jail us. You are not going to arrest us, even if we send you a pin. Madam Speaker, if any hospital shuts down tomorrow, we must suspend all our business and discuss the conduct of Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya and the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Finance. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mwinyi Haji Mohamed. Senator Faki.
Asante Bi Speaker. Anaongea hapa. Kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia taarifa ambayo imeletwa bungeni na Senator Bungoma, Senator Wetangula. Mheshimiwa Speaker, kuku alivishwa kilemba, watu wakamwona kama jogoo, lakini kuku ni kuku na jogoo ni jogoo. Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Speaker, kwa muda wa wiki moja sasa tumeona mwenyekiti wa baraza la magavana akitoa taarifa ambazo hazina msingi kikatiba na kisheria. Kwanza alisema kwamba atavunja bunge la Senate. Bunge la Senate liko katika katiba na asome article number 93 mpaka 96 na kuendelea. Aone majukumu ya Senate ni nini ili aweze kuangalia kwamba hili bunge la Senate liko hapa kikatiba na haliwezi kuondolewa mpaka katiba ibadilishwe kupitia kwa referendum. Jeo ametoa barua, akatoa vitisho pia wiki iliyokwisha kusema kwamba atasimamisha huduma katika kaunti zetu. Tumeangalia sheria zote Mheshimiwa Spika zinazohusu kaunti zetu, na hakuna mahali ambapo mwenyekiti wa baraza la magavana ana haki ama ana amri ya kusema kwamba huduma zisitishwe. Hana mamlaka kabisa kuhusiana na utendakazi wa kaunti zingine. Yeye ana mamlaka pia machache katika kaunti yake. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, hii ni kejeli kubwa kwa gavana Oparanya kusema kwamba atazuia huduma za afya, na ametaja mahali ambapo panamuathiri yule mwananchi wa chini kabisa. Mheshimiwa Spika, hivi sasa tuko katikati ya janga la corona ambapo wananchi wanapata shida kupata huduma za afya. Yeye anasema kwamba huduma za afya zisitishwe katika kaunti zetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, hii sio dharau kwa Kenya pekee, lakini dharau pia kwa rais wetu Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu jana katika mkutano ambao uliongozwa na Rais Kenyatta, Gavana Oparanya alikuwa pale, viongozi wetu wa bunge la Senate walikuwa pale, hata kiranja wetu Seneta Kwamboka alikuwa pale na ameshikilia fimbo yake ya kiranja katika mkutano ule. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, hii ni madharau kwa bunge la Senate, ni madharau kwa taifa, kwa sababu Gavana Oparanya hana mamlaka ya kuweza kuzuia huduma katika kaunti yoyote. Na tuwaonya magavana wote 47 kwamba wote 46 Oparanya anaweza kusitisha huduma katika kaunti ya Kakamega, lakini zile 46 nyingine zote wapuuze amri ya Oparanya, kwa sababu amri ile haina mamlaka yoyote ya kisheria ambayo inaweza kusaidia kuwatetea wakati kitakapoumana. Asante Mr. Speaker kwa kunipa fursa hii.
Honorable Senators, kindly do consult in low tones so that members who are interested in listening to fellow colleagues contribute, they can be able to follow. Senator Matsayo. Honorable Senators, all of you are going to find time, and we are
Asante, Mr. Speaker.
So just be patient, please.
Shukran, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, cha kwanza ni kwamba ufungaji wa hospitali, hususan maeneo ambayo yanaweza kusaidia akina mama na watoto, ni makosa kisheria. Cha pili, yeye Gavana Oparanya kutoa amri ya kufunga haya mahospitali na kuwaambia wafanyikazi waende leave kwa wiki 2, amekiuka sheria. Kulinganishana na sheria, yeye hana mamlaka hata kidogo kutoa amri kama hiyo. Mr. Speaker, tunataka kumuuliza Bwana Oparanya, katika sheria zote za Kenya na katiba, ni kipengele gani kinampa yeye uwezo wa kuweza kufunga kaunti ama kuamrisha kaunti zote 47 ndani ya Kenya ziweze kufunga? Na mimi nataka kumwambia ndugu yangu ambaye ni mwanasheria, tena ni mwanasheria mshupavu, na alikuwa katika lile bunge ambalo Oparanya alikuwa katika ndani ya serikali kama waziri, na gavana wangu pia alikuwa kama waziri katika hiyo serikali, asiweze kufata sheria hiyo iliyotolewa na Oparanya, manake sheria hiyo haina msingi wa kisheria katika Kenya. Kuna huyu Atuoli sengine husema hiyo tabia kama hiyo ni ushenzi kabisa. Hiyo tabia kama hiyo ni tabia ambayo wewe huna utovu wa nidhamu unaanzia wakati huo. Na Gavana Oparanya akaya akijua kwamba amri hiyo aliyosema Wakenya wanailaani zaidi, kama ni Wakristo wanasema ashindwe, kwa sababu yeye hata mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu, Speaker, kwa heshima na nidhamu, ni kwamba yeye amekosea. Kama Mungu mwenyewe alisema kwamba nyinyi mtaendelea kunisifu na wale walio na imani watapona wakienda mahospitalini, hivi leo amepuuza amri hiyo. Yeye anajifanya yeye ndio kila kitu katika county. Yeye he is nothing, and I want to tell him, hawezi kucontrol hii makaunti yote katika Kenya. Yeye kama ni mwenyekiti wa ile COG, abaki hapo, wakae wakizungumza wakinywa kahawa. Hiyo imalizikie hapo. Mambo ya kusema kwamba yeye anaweza kuingilia hata bunge la Senate kuambia jinsia wanaweza kugawanya pesa, mimi nasikitika sana kwa mtu kama yeye. Alikuwa kule ndani ya Ikulu, sijui kama alikuwa ameshikwa na usingizi ama alikuwa amelala ama alikuwa hayuko kwenye ule mkutano, lakini tulimuona kile kiumbe chake kilikuwa pale ndani. Lakini hivi leo anatoka pale baada ya kupewa 50 bilioni 50 ambazo sisi tulikuwa tumeziomba. Sio yeye aliomba, sisi ndio tulikuwa tumeomba kama bunge la Senate. Yeye anatoka pale, alafu anaanza kuleta sheria zake, anasema sijui fungeni county. Unafunga county wewe kama nani wewe? Mimi nataka kumuuliza yeye kama nani anafunga hii county? Haitowezekana. Na ikiwa kama kutakuwa na gavana yoyote katika magavana 47, mimi nitakubaliana na Mutula Kilonzo. Tumuite hapa atuambie, na akicheza basi anajua kazi ya seneta nini. Tutamfurusha katika mamlaka. Kitu kingine, Speaker, hili bunge linafaa kuheshimiwa, bunge la Senate, kwa sababu ni bunge ambalo linapeleka pesa katika serikali za mashinani. Wewe huwezi kuketi, Waswahili wanakuambia ukanyelea lile sinia ambalo wewe utakulia. Yeye hivi sasa akiwa anatukana Senate, wakati ule kama anataka pesa, waliomba wapewe 310 bilioni. Sisi sahihi tumewapatia 360 bilioni. Sasa yeye anatakana asifu hili bunge kwa sababu
Senator Nderitu John Kinywa.
Asante Bi Speaker kwa kunipa fursa hii. Kwanza kabisa tunataka kukemea taarifa iliyotolewa na mwenyekiti wa baraza la magavana na kusema ya kwamba hana uwezo wowote kufunga zahanati, kufunga hospitali katika kaunti yoyote ya nchi hii yetu ya Kenya. Na mimi na Bi Speaker nina hofu kidogo kuongea kuhusu yule mwenyekiti, kwa sababu itakuwa kana kwamba Bi Speaker mimi najitosa katika zinzi kupigana miereka na nguruwe, kwa sababu itakuwa mimi naona nitakuwa na uoga kidogo, kwa sababu yeye mwenyewe amejitosa katika ulingo ambao mwenyewe hana uzoefu kujua ya kwamba hana sheria na hana uwezo wote kisheria kusema kaunti yoyote inapaswa kufungwa ama huduma yoyote kwa wananchi wa Kenya katika kaunti zetu za Kenya inapaswa kufungwa. Mimi nataka kumhakikishia kwamba pale Laikipia kwetu, na nimwambie gavana wangu Gavana Nderitu, sisi pale kuanzia Nanyuki, Nyahururu, Rumuruti, mtu yoyote ambaye atakuwa ni mgonjwa na yoyote hata awe ni mjamzito anapaswa kwenda katika hospitali bila kusikiza maagizo yoyote ya mtu yoyote. Sisi gavana tuliyemchagua ni Gavana Nderitu. Hatujui mtu yoyote, mnasikia mkimuita Oparanya, yeye ni kikundi tu walikutana hapa Nairobi mahali pengine wakachaguana. Kwa hivyo sisi watu wa kutoka Laikipia, maagizo ambayo tutafuata ni maagizo yaliyoko katika sheria, katika katiba ya Kenya. Na Oparanya hana uwezo. Kwa hivyo sisi tunataka kusema ya kwamba Wakenya wote waendelee na shughuli zao, kwa sababu sisi kama seneti, na nataka kuhakikishia kwamba siku ya kesho sisi tutakubaliana na tukupitisha pesa ambazo zitakuwa zikienda county. Na hata kabla hatujapitisha, Bi Speaker, ijulikane wazi ya kwamba Koti Kuu ya Kenya ilisema ya kwamba wanapaswa kuwa wakipewa 50% ya pesa ambazo tulikuwa tumekubaliana. Kwa hivyo hakuna haja yoyote ya yeye kuleta kiegemezo ama kizuizi chochote cha watu kupewa huduma. Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya jana kwamba ataongeza zaidi ya bilioni 50. Na huyu muungwana alikuwa ameketi pale. Sasa anasema ya kwamba ati zahanati, hospitali zetu zitafungwa. Alisikia wapi? Ya kwamba alisikia wapi? Sijui haya maneno yameanza kumsumbua. Sisi tunamwambia kwamba hospitali zetu zitaendelea, na kusema hospitali zitafungwa, alisikia wapi? Kusema ya kwamba ati huduma zitafungwa katika kaunti zetu, alisikia wapi? Adhubutu, na akidhubutu atamuona cha mtema kuni.
Please let's have some order.
Tunasema ya kwamba akijaribu, kama vile Seneta Mtula Kilonzo amesema, gavana yeyote atakayejaribu kufunga hospitali, zahanati ama huduma zozote katika kaunti zetu, tutamwonyesha cha mtema kuni. Na hiyo watakuja hapa Seneti na tutawashughulikia vilivyo. Asante sana, Bi Speaker.
Thank you, Senators. Senator for Machakos. Senator Kabaka.
After 1 year. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to air my view with regard to this misbehavior by the chairman of Council of Governors, none other than Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya. Sometime I always hear this question anytime I go around Machakos: who is the greatest? Is this the senator or the governor? I want to give the people of Machakos and people of Kenya and the world, the greatest is not a governor, it is a senator, because we are the people who fight for the monies. Without the monies, the senator, the governors cannot, they cannot shine, they cannot operate, and therefore they settle the problem. Number two, I understand from where I'm seated now, and I've seen from social media, my governor, none other than Mutua, that he has effected, illegally he has effected that illegal direction by Governor Oparanya. I have heard that. Mutua, I don't know why you are very fast. If that is the way you are going to campaign for presidency, then I'm telling you, I'm sorry. You must have given some things some thought. Did you sit down with the committee? Did you consult your Senator Kabaka to warrant yourself to come up with such illegal and unreasonable decision? If anyone is going to die, and I'm following queue of other senators who have spoken before me, then Mutua will hold you liable. What has come of governors in this country? Governors think they are demigods. You are not. Maybe perhaps because you are given the title, Your Excellency, which is illegal. As a lawyer, I know there is no provision nowhere in the Living Constitution 2010 or any other, document or any instrument. So I think there is a misnomer in this regard, and you better stop what you are doing. Governor Oparanya, I've perused your letter dated 9th. And it's very interesting that you have never cited any iota of a provision of the Constitution, or rather of any legal instrument upon which you are basing your decision or collect decision to direct other 47 counties, or rather counties or governors to do so. Shame on you. Shame on you. And I hear you also want to become a president. Shame on you, you'll never be a president. Thank you. Least of all, don't ever come to campaign from Machakos County.
Senator Abshiro Halake.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a lot has been said, and I have said this before to Governor Oparanya. Madam Speaker, if the speed with which Governor Oparanya is purporting to close down health facilities, he should have used that speed to close down the criminal enterprises that are abound in the counties. Today, nobody would be wanting any of these counties. Madam Speaker, bad leadership diminishes everything. Madam Speaker, Governor Oparanya has not only diminished the functional and institutional integrity of our county governments, he has literally taken them to the dogs. Madam Speaker, the Article 189(1) is what I would like to bring to the attention of Governor Oparanya, that governments at either level shall perform its functions and exercise its powers in a manner that respects the functional and institutional integrity of the government at either level. He has rubbished the institutional, the functional integrity of our county governments, and he has made our county government become like small departments of the national government, where if something delays for 2 minutes, he does not have any ideas or any innovations. All he can think of is to close down health facilities. And why does he pick on health at a time of corona? And like has been said here before, Madam Speaker, I am very, very disturbed and would like to advise him to close down the criminal enterprises that are thriving in the counties, especially in his own county, before he can think of closing down health facilities, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, one of the things that really is very clear is that there's a blackmail. And I would like to say and there's a panic that's setting in, especially for the good governor and the COG chair. Do not panic, even if your term is coming to an end. These shenanigans will not give you anything. Nobody, whatever promise you've been made may never come true. So please relax and make sure whatever you've been given by the people chose you. And do not rubbish county governments because they are equal. No government, whether national or county, is subordinate to another. Do not insubordinate our county devolved units. And because you're supposed to be the ones elevating it. I thank you, Madam Speaker. Devolution is dying under his watch, Madam Speaker, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Senator Juma Isaboy, Senator for Kwale. Senator Isaboy, Senator for Kwale. Boy Isaboy.
Asante sana Madam Speaker kwa kunipa fursa hii na mimi pia niweze kuchangia hii statement ambayo imesemwa na Mheshimiwa Wetangula. Madam Speaker, kuna msemo wa Kiswahili unasema afadhali kukungua kidole kuliko kukungua mdomo. Na huu mdomo alisema Governor Oparanya si mdomo mzuri katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Kwa sababu yeye kama governor, yeye anajua kwamba sisi tunapigania hivi sasa tuhakikishe kwamba pesa zimepatikana, ugavi wa county pesa zimegawanywa sawa sawa, na yeye jana alikuwa pamoja na mtukufu rais na kinara wa ODM na majority leader na minority leader State House kuhusu jambo hili la revenue. Na mimi nashukuru sana kwamba mtukufu rais aliweza kusema kwamba ataongeza karibu bilioni 50. Leo anasema kwamba kesho kaunti zote ziweze kufunga zahanati, hospitali zote za makaunti. Madam Speaker, hichi kitendo ni cha aibu na mimi na kilani, sio peke yake hapa Kenya nzima, na wala sijaribu kusema kwamba hospitali yoyote itafungwa katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Madam Speaker, hivi juzi mimi nilipokuwa Kwale, tulienda na hii komiti ya COVID kuzunguka, nilizungumza maneno hayo. Nikawaambia, hata gavana wangu nikamwambia kwamba hii maneno ya Oparanya kusema sio tufunge sio nini, tuachane nayo. Na hivyo mimi naunga mkono pia maneno yaliyozungumzwa na Mheshimiwa Wetangula kwamba kesho Mungu akipenda moshi utaonekanika juu kwamba kuna mafikiano mazuri ambapo counties zitapata pesa zake. Kwa hivyo Madam Speaker, kitendo hichi tunakilani Kenya, wala sijaribu na wala mimi nasema kama hapa nimesimama mbele, kesho nikasikia kusula hospitali yoyote ambayo imefungwa katika county, basi huyo governor tutamchukulia sheria kali sana. Hasa kwangu Kwale, kama ni Msambweni au ni Kinango au ni Mombasa au ni Nyeri au ni wapi, hospitali yoyote ambayo itakayofungwa kesho, sisi tutahakikisha huyo governor tunapeleka mbele katika senate yetu. Madam Speaker, sisi kama maseneta tunapigania haki za county zetu 47 na nchi nzima. Lakini sio kesho amke Oparanya asema fungeni hospitali. Ndugu yangu Oparanya governor,
afadhali kukungua kidole kuliko kukungua mdomo. Huo mdomo uliozungumza, tafadhali rudi nyuma uombe msamaha. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Senator Lokorio Were.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to join my colleagues in condemning the action taken by Governor Paranya in suggesting to counties that they need to close hospitals, especially inpatient. During this time of Speaker, counties don't just use the equitable share from the national government. They have own source revenue, as suggested by Senator Bshiro earlier on, where they can actually maintain the essential services like hospitals using their own revenue. So it is not just the national revenue. Madam Speaker, I have another concern. Governor Paranya was in the meeting yesterday where our leadership was promised 50 billion. And he comes out the following day today to say close counties because senators are unable to approve a formula for sharing. So I'm wondering, Madam Speaker, and I would like you to hear this. I'm wondering, Madam Speaker, was that offer a scam? Does Governor Paranya not believe in the offer we were given yesterday of 53 for him to come out the following day and declare that we use hospitals because there is no money? If he does not believe in the money we were offered yesterday, how safe are we as senators in believing that fact? Madam Speaker, I will also suggest that we have a platform where the Treasury, the Senate leadership, and the Council of Governors hold regular meetings, especially on the issue of transfer of funds. We have had several times where Treasury has told us that they have transferred funds to counties, but counties complain that they have not received that money. And our hands are tied at that point. But if there was a platform where Treasury, Senate leadership, and COG meet and ensure that the funds we have allocated or the funds we have appropriated as Parliament are actually disbursed to counties in a timely manner. So thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Christopher Andrew Langat.
From Bomet.
County Senator for Bomet County.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to make a comment on this particular very important debate. And I want to assure Governor Obaranya that today he has violated the Constitution, Article 43, which is very important, Madam Speaker, that every person has the right to the highest attainable standards of health, which includes the right to health care services, including productive health care. Anything that will happen to the human beings or to the citizens of this country on matters health, because of this particular statement, Madam Speaker, I want to say Governor Oparanya will be responsible for the same. I want to say the most unfortunate thing that the governors did in this particular country is when they elected Oparanya as their chairman for their council. It was very unfortunate. It is my wish that you will never commit such a mistake as governors, and if possible, you should repent of such a mistake that you made during that particular time. Oparanya is a shame. Oparanya is a person who applies double standards, Madam Speaker. I want to say yesterday he is in fact undermining the efforts that the President has made with the leadership of this particular House in resolving the conflicts. Last year, he also undermined. When we had gone to court for our counties to have more money, he went to bed with the executive and made this particular Senate to become almost helpless. He was the one. When we appeared before us in the Senate ad hoc committee on Mets, he lied so much to the point of telling us that the executive made him to sign that particular memorandum on a can point, Madam Speaker. And in 2 days, he was with the executive also denying what he was saying in the medical scheme ad hoc committee. He is a liar. He's a wicked human being. He doesn't deserve even to be a leader of a village. I want to say...
Senator, just 1 minute. What's your point
Yes,
of,
point of information.
as
I
Senator?
accept. Yes. Thank you.
I want to inform the distinguished senator for Bomet that the governor you are talking about is the same governor who appeared before the mess committee with the teary eyes and telling us that he signed the mess contract MOU because a chief and an assistant chief talked against him at a funeral. And that in that regard he had been intimidated and blackmailed. That is the man you are talking about, Oparanya. He can be intimidated and blackmailed by an assistant chief and a chief.
Senator Wambua, what's your point of information? Another point of information.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Senator for Bomet for quoting the law, the Constitution, on issues health. But also inform him that, Madam Speaker, the Geneva Conventions and additional protocols, at times of war, demand that hospitals be open and protected. Madam Speaker, the conventions require that patients must be given a safe passage to access hospitals. Governor Oparanya is closing hospitals, Madam Speaker. What a shame.
Senator, kindly wind up.
Thank you for those particular very important informations, Madam, that I'm very sure that what he has said today is not a representational information to all the other governors. I've got a friend, a governor who is a friend from one of the counties of this country who is saying he never consulted them, he's just speaking his own mind. So I am so sure most of the governors in this country who are law-abiding will never follow such a reckless leader in this particular country. Thank you, Madam Governor. Madam, you are even better be a governor than that of Baranya. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mbogo George Ochilo Yako.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when I rose on a point of order, I called COG a council of gangsters, and I believe that is where they are tethering to. They are actually gangsters. Madam Speaker, it is gangsters who do not want to account for anything. It is gangsters who believe in impunity, and it's gangsters who preach violation of law and violation of human rights. Senator Dr. Lagat has indicated, and we lawyers agree, that Article 43 of the Constitution is mandatory, the right to health. Gangster Oparanya and his band of gangsters, because that's what they are. They are trying to break or to violate the rights that Kenyans have to health by intending or threatening to withhold vital services to Kenyans, and that is a violation of the Constitution that we should not countenance. Madam Speaker, if you look at the Public Finance Management Act, if you look at Section 196 of that particular act, any public official who directs others to violate law, to violate the Constitution, and if you read that together with Section 199 of PFM Act, you will find that they are committing an offense and they are liable to imprisonment for 5 years. So if Governor Oparanya wants to go to jail for 5 years, he should not drag along other governors, including that of Migori, who is in very serious trouble, and that one of Tharaka-Nithi, who is in very serious trouble, to jail for 5 years. Madam Speaker, if you look at the PFM Act, you will find Section 203 of PFM Act. Any person who creates a situation that causes financial liability to a county will be personally liable for that liability. So if any governor denies a citizen the right to health and that citizen sues and Mutula Kilonzo Jr. is here. I am here. Senator Wetangula, Orengo, and other able Kenyans who are willing to represent them pro bono. If court should find them liable, they will be personally liable for the damages that will be given to those persons who will have been denied health. We do not want a situation where a club that should be leading in governance, a club that should be setting the right tempo for good governance, the rule of law, and good behavior, is advocating violation of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, I do not know what has gotten into the head of the leader of CAS. I do not know what kind of dope or bang he is taking, or all of them are taking. This is a situation that cannot be countenanced, and this is a situation that is intolerable. This is a situation that we cannot accept as people who approve funds or finances to counties. So, Madam Speaker, I am happy that every senator speaking here is condemning this act. This is a particular condemnation that we are co-joined in chorus, and we will not tolerate any person threatening Kenyans who are suffering economic hardship arising from COVID, who are suffering unemployment, who are suffering from lack of food and other disasters. So when you add insult to injury by threatening those Kenyans that you will withhold services and health from them, I think you are crazy. Something that you are taking, you should not be taking, you should stop it. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, I want to say that you have had the Council of Governors threatening to withhold health services. Madam Speaker, these fellas should come together and demonstrate how good governance should be practiced. They should come together and consult on how best to deliver services. I thought that was the mandate of the Council of Governors, not the mandate to act in a manner that would be injurious to public interest and the public. So I want to ask Governor Oparanya, whatever he had taken, whatever devil had possessed him, he should find the next church or the next mosque and repent of his sins and humble himself, because personal interest, according to Chapter 6, should be made insubordinate to public interest. Public interest is that health first, is that the people's interests are placed first, and all others will follow. He should be ready to serve without even demanding salary until monies come. And that should be the spirit in Kakamega County. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity to.
Senator Wario Golish Juma, Senator for Tana River.
Asante Bi Speaker kwa kunipatia nafasi hii. Bi Speaker, nimesimama kuunga mkono arifa ambayo imetolewa na Seneta wa Bungoma. Madam Speaker, niliona kiti kiko wazi, ndio kwa sababu nilisimamisha mazungumzo kidogo. Ninaunga mkono arifa ambayo imetolewa na Seneta wa Bungoma. Madam Speaker, kwa kweli vile rafiki yangu Seneta wa Mombasa alivyosema, kichwa cha kuku akistahili kilemba, ndipo unapoona hakika gavana huyu wa Kakamega anachukua hatamu za kaunti zote za Kenya, akisema ya kwamba anatishia ya kwamba atapeleka watu katika likizo za lazima. Pia zahanati zote na mahospitali zifungwe. Hana habari ya kwamba hospitali hizi Wanakenya maskini wengi wanagharamikia pesa yao kwenda kupata matibabu katika hospitali hizi. Na yeye akikaa huko Kakamega, akiwa na shida zake tele za Kakamega, anatupa hiyo shida katika nchi nzima ya Kenya, kwenda katika ugatuzi 47 na kusema ya kwamba ataenda kupeleka watu likizo, watu waende likizo ya lazima. na pia hospitali zifungwe. Pia anaenda kurusha mawe katika bunge la seneti. Bunge hili ambalo limejaa watu ambao akili yao ni timamu, waheshimiwa ambao wanajua dunia inatoka wapi na inaelekea wapi. Yeye anasema anaenda kufunga seneti hiyo na kujiletea hali ambayo yeye yuko katika hali hiyo sahihi. Sahihi unavyoona members wote katika seneti hii walichangamuka na kukasirika na kusema wewe unatupa mawe katika seneti hii ambayo iko na watu wa kisawasawa, watu ambao akili yao ni mzuri. Na wewe sijui umetumia nini huko Kakamega, unaamuka asubuhi unasema watu utawapeleka watu katika malikizo, utafunga hospitali zote, kisha bunge ya Senate pia haifai, wewe utaenda kufunga bunge hiyo. Basi mimi ninakuambia ya kwamba shida yako ya Kakamega wacha ikue shida yako ya Kakamega. Usituletee shida zako za Kakamega katika kaunti zile zingine ambazo tuko na usalama na tunaendeleza mambo yetu kitaratibu kabisa. Na pia ningependa kutoa wito kwa gavana wangu. Wewe ni gavana ambaye tumekuchagua Tana River. Lau utaenda kusikiza shida za Kakamega, uende kufunga hospitali moja, uende kupeleka watu likizo, basi sisi tutataremuka na wewe. Kwa sababu shida ya Kakamega ni shida ya Kakamega, na shida ya Tana River ni ya Tana River. Wewe kama umechaguliwa na watu na magavana, mkaenda mkakula mandazi, mkakunywa chai, ukaambiwa wewe ni chairman. Wewe ni chairman wa kwenda kukunywa chai na kuongea mambo yenu. Jana wewe uliona seneti ilikaa mbele ya rais na kukupatia wewe pesa ambazo hata hujui zimetoka wapi, na wakati wewe mwenyewe unatangaza vita kwa seneti, na wewe ndio unakimbia na ndege kubwa kubwa kwenda kwako huko, na wakati senators wanakupigania na wanakupatia pesa. Kwa hivyo mtu ambaye akili yake ni timamu hawezi sema ugatuzi uvunjwe ambao wewe mwenyewe unafaidika na ugatuzi huo. Kwa hivyo mimi ninasimama kideti hapa kuunga mkono arifa ya rafiki yangu Seneta Moses Wetangula, seneta wa Bungoma. Asante kwa kunipatia nafasi.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Wario. Sasa fursa hii nampatia Seneta Judy Pareno.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to comment on this statement, and I thank Senator Wetangula for this statement. Mr. Speaker, I must say that I'm embarrassed, to say the least, that this is coming from none other than my deputy party leader, from a party that really believes in devolution, a party that should be working hard so that we have devolution working. And I really wonder whether Governor Oparanya would really has really looked at the effect of what he has done today and the statement that he has done today. Closing of all the hospitals and sending the health workers on leave, and sending the health workers on leave for 14 days would really mean that it's such a big crisis in this country in the health sector. So I don't know what he really wants for this country. And my question to Governor Oparanya is whether he would want to see people lying in the entrances of the hospitals unattended, or being turned away, or seeing them lying dead because they'll come for health attention and they'll not get. I am not sure that he has looked at the effect of what he has said, and it is really embarrassing. And I think it is just the honorable thing to do for him to withdraw that statement with immediate effect. Mr. Speaker, I therefore echo the same sentiments that the Senate or the rest of the senators have echoed here, that we should not see from today, though Senator Kabaka has said that his county seems to have already started effecting, we should not see at all any single hospital closed. I want to say that for some of you senators, maybe you don't know what some of us go through. Because for some of us, we don't have the luxury of even closing because we almost have none. We have very little. The little we have is out of this little devolution that we have celebrated. There before, I think we can only count 2 big hospitals in Kajiado. That is Kajiado Referral Hospital and Kajiado District Hospital, and the one in Loitokto. The rest are simple, very simple, and with lean staff in the dispensaries. So we don't brag. We don't have much. So we cannot afford to close. It will be too costly for the Kajiado. So I know Governor Lenku. I know he's a governor who would really who's been fighting out to ensure that we have proper services. I know our CEC, Esther Somoire. I know you will not heed to this kind of call. The Kajiado residents do not have much. The little they have cannot even serve them, and I know that you will not be able to close this hospital just because Governor Oparanya has come out to say that they be closed. Probably Governor Oparanya has maybe some private entities that his Kakamega people can rely on. So we would want the people of Kakamega to as well also enjoy devolution and not have the hospitals closed. Mr. Speaker, you know that even at times of war, you cannot close a hospital. This country is not at war. The revenue impasse is not something that should call for closing of hospitals. It is sad that they have started with a very, very sensitive area of life of hospitals. Instead of them saying the governors should lack salaries for this month, they wake up by saying they want to. So I think this revenue allocation and revenue distribution will happen. I believe in what happened in State House yesterday. It is sad that Governor Oparanya himself was seated there as the commitments were being made, and he should have told the President and the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that they don't believe in the offer that was made. He should have told them, and he should have said that they are not going to believe in it. So, Mr. Speaker, I ask the Kenyans to come out and demand for their services. These counties are supposed to give them services. The hospitals are supposed to have been devolved so that they become nearer. Come out, demand for them. Let us not have sideshows as such statements as the ones that have been made by governor. You cannot make our situation already bad. It is already too bad. You cannot make it worse. Because we already have a problem with this revenue issue. We already have a problem from Treasury as to when they even give out the tranches that they're supposed to give. So you cannot be saying that I will make it worse. That one is not service to Mwananchi. And Mr. Speaker, I think this was bad enough. And Governor Oparanya should be able to withdraw this statement immediately. I think the lives of all Kenyans depend on our hospitals, and I think they don't depend on pronouncements from the chair of the Council of Governors. I believe that there are sensible people out there who will believe that lives are very important and that they will not be able to
Asante sana, nampa fursa Senator Aaron Cheruiyot.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for this chance. I want to appreciate my colleague, our Senator Wetangula, for bringing to fore the issues that are before this House this afternoon. But I want to take a different path from the general thinking of most of our colleagues, because I have seen many of you are lumping blame on Governor Wycliffe Oparanya. Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, and I agree with those of you who have described him as incompetent, somebody not deserving of leadership. The man is indefensible. That much I agree. But the truth of the matter is that this blame on the challenges that county governments face in this day and time lies squarely in the men and women that were in that room in State House yesterday during that particular meeting. From the President to the Chair of Council of Governors, and even our own leadership. When I saw photos, Mr. Speaker, that there had been a meeting between the leadership of Senate, Council of Governors, and the President, the first thing that I looked out for, because I knew that this issue of agreeing on how to share revenue among its counties was going to be a long, drawn-out battle I knew that at least if there would be goodwill on their side, they would have given a communication on what is going to happen in our counties in the interim as Senate tries to find a solution to this particular problem. The truth of the matter, Mr. Speaker, and let us not lie to the country, is that someone is trying to blackmail the Senate. Somebody wants the Senate to look bad, that it is us who have starved counties of cash. Don't fall victims into this silly trap and begin to blame Governor Oparanya. Governor Oparanya is just an errand boy. The person that we need to ask the right question, CS Treasury, why haven't you released funds to counties? Mr. President, you met Senate leadership yesterday. Why don't counties have money? Those are the people that we need to be asking these questions. Because Supreme Court gave an advisory opinion on what happens when there is a stalemate on Kara, such as the issues that is before this particular house at this particular time. So let us not pussyfoot about these issues, trying to call governors saying, oh, they are thieves. We understand how crooked each of the 47 governors in this country is. But the problem and the issue that is being discussed right now before this house is, number one, we are in September, the 15th. We are almost finishing the first quarter of this financial years, and counties have not received their monies. The question is, why are we not calling for CS Kuriatan to either resign or do that which is expected of him? I agree with Senator Mutula Kilonzo, who has said that we must discuss the conduct of CS Ukuriatani because he's in violation of our constitution. What he's doing is not lawful. Counties should have received their funds, formula or no formula. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, if we are genuine in our calls that counties deserve to get the monies that are due to them at this particular day and time, let us have a motion, a censure motion tomorrow, tabled by the leadership, discussing the conduct of the CS for Treasury. Let him tell the country what is it that is stopping him from releasing funds that are due to our counties. Mr. Speaker, it saddens me to see people want to reduce a very important national issue, such as the shareable revenue formula that is before this house, and want to play games and political issues about it. Yet we know that the reason countries fight, the reason countries disintegrate is squarely on how you share resources in that particular country. The reason I want to blame the leadership of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, is because I want us also to tell Kenyans the truth. That the reason this house hasn't been able to reach a decision is because we have not been presented with an opportunity to vote. This is a democracy. It's not a monarchy. We don't have to agree on anything. How we have solved issues in a democracy is that after allowing the minority to have their say, the majority must have their way. The truth of the matter is that there are those of us who have caucused, and in our thinking we think we have secured the requisite 24 delegations to support a shareable revenue formula. But the leadership of the Senate has frustrated our efforts to bring a vote on this particular house. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, if we are genuine, if we are honest, if we believe in devolution, let us begin by first being honest, calling out the people that were in that meeting yesterday and asking, when are funds going to hit the accounts of our counties? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante sana, Senator Farhia Ali Haji.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And I also wish to thank Senator Wetangula for bringing this to the House. Mr. Speaker, one of the fact that the Senator Wetangula is was member of committee, and he still is, and you are a member of committee of finance when we were proposing that Senate counties should be given 335 billion. And because they agreed in advance that we should retain 316, it was like our hands were tied. Mr. Speaker, Oparanya is so hypocritical because he purports that he supports the handshake. Yet, President Uhuru Kenyatta's, one of his legacy and one of his agenda 4 is healthcare. Let us even assume that there was not enough money to run the counties. Why should you start with one of the functions which is the legacy of the president, that he wants universal health care for this country? Mr. Speaker, is he in order to do that, Mr. Speaker? What he should have done, let us even assume there is no money. They have, of course, their own resources. What they should have done is they should have prioritized the health functions. So that is, even if it is the only thing that is running, at least. Because, Mr. Speaker, sometimes when we steal few millions or billions, depending on the budget, we think that there are no poor people who need that health services that he's trying to deny, that he's starting to shut down. Because poor people do not have alternative, Mr. Speaker, to go to. They rely on the county health services. And Mr. Speaker, if they were to fall sick, now what alternative do these poor people have? That is, and if there was any circular that he should have written, Oparanya should have said, prioritize health and probably water so that counties are not shut down. It is so bad that he's the Council of Governor, and somebody was complaining that he said that the chief, assistant chief and chief accused him in a public baraza. Is he inferior to a chief and assistant chief in terms of his role? He's a whole governor of a whole county and chair of COG. How can he complain about assistant chief, you know, talking about him in a funeral, Mr. Speaker? And then, Mr. Speaker, let him, you know, I am just appealing to other governors, including mine. You know, part of the reason why they want to shut the healthcare is because they have pocketed all the money. They don't have any other money because, you know, the own sales revenue already went to their pocket. Now they are waiting, they are looking for excuse to get out of their own quagmire and making people believe that it is Senate's problem that they cannot give services. Mr. Speaker, Senate is here to protect counties. We are not here to bring counties to their knees. And Mr. Speaker, if Oparanya thinks that devolution, he doesn't believe in devolution, I think he should resign as the chair of COG. Otherwise, he should guide. I mean, and you know, Oparanya is an FCPA, meaning that he's even a member of ISPAC, meaning that he's even an accountant, so he understands matter of finances better than most of the governors do. So, Mr. Speaker, I am ashamed that he's a member of my profession in the manner he's behaving, Mr. Speaker. And I think if there is any professional discipline that ISPAC should institute, they should start with Oparanya because he has brought the name of ISPAC to disrepute. Disrepute. And therefore, I wish to support, and that, like everybody else has submitted, senators are here to protect counties, and people who just want money in their pocket and not services to the people have no business leading any county, let alone Council of Governors that bring together.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Senator. Ningeliomba kwamba kwa sababu ya muda sasa hivi tuende kwenye hizi statements, lakini hakuna kuchangia kwa sababu zipo nyingi na muda umeyoma sana. Kwa hiyo wakati huu nampa fursa Senator wa Mombasa, Senator Faki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 47-1 to make a statement on an issue of general topical concern, namely the synchronization and coordination of the functions of Kenya Ports Authority, KPA, the Kenya Railways Corporation, and the Kenya Pipeline Corporation. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the 7th of August 2020, His Excellency the President issued an Executive Order number 5 of 2020 titled the Framework for Management, coordination and integration of public, port, railway, and pipeline services. Through the said executive order, the President ordered and directed that 1, the Industrial and Commercial Development Corporation, ICDC, on the one part, and the Kenya Post Authority, KPA, the Kenya Railways Corporation, KRC, and Kenya Pipeline Company Limited, KPC, jointly on the other part, shall enter into a framework of agreement to anchor and integrate the operations towards establishing the Kenya Transport Logistics Network. The framework agreement will secure the coordinated and synchronized implementation of the respective mandates of ICDC, KPA, KRC, KPC, and add synergy to their structures, resources, operations, and services towards establishing a seamless and coordinated national transport logistics network styled as the Kenya Transport and Logistics Network. The framework agreement shall be concluded and signed within 30 days from the date of the said executive order. The National Treasury shall support ICDC in the reorganization of its existing portfolio so as to facilitate the effective implementation and operation of the framework. Number 5, in line with this mandate, ICDC will be responsible for the implementation of the framework agreement and for securing the achievement of the commercial vision and objects of the agreement through the board of directors of each entity. Number 6, that the boards of directors of KPA, KRC, KPC, ICDC are reconstituted in line with Section 7.3 of the State Corporations Act and are stipulated in the requisite gazette notices already effected. The administration and portfolios of KPA, KRC, KPC, ICDC are vested in National Treasury within National Treasury and Planning. That number 8, the ongoing transaction of the 4 agencies shall continue uninterrupted, even as the National Treasury organizes and builds up technical skills necessary towards the full implementation of the objectives of the framework agreement, and that number 9, the ICDC exempted from specific prescription of the Mwongozo guidelines on multiple directorships of board members. Mr. Speaker, sir, from the foregoing, I wish to observe the following. Number 1, that ICDC, KRC, and KPA are established by statute, under which each of these entities have a board of directors responsible for the management of the respective entity. Number 2, that the KPC is a government-owned entity established under the Companies Act, which organization structure includes a board of directors responsible for the management of the company. Number 3, that ICDC, KRC, KPA, and KPC are state corporations as contemplated in Section 2 of the State Corporations Act. Number 4, that Section 7 of the State Corporations Act gives the President what may be considered to be sweeping veto power over the management and functions of state corporations. In this respect, the President may give general and specific directions to a board of state corporation and revoke the appointment of a board member of a state corporation. Number 5, that the executive order number 5 contains directions and orders by the President for the aforementioned state corporations to enter into a framework agreement for the coordination of their respective functions. That number 7, that paragraph 7.2 of the executive order vests the administration and portfolios of KPA, KRC, KPC in the National Treasury, contrary to the provisions of a pertinent legislation that established each of these agencies. Any alteration in administration, therefore, has to be done through amendment of the relevant laws. That the executive order is in essence transfer of the functions of various entities without a parliamentary approval. Number 8, that the executive order is not clear on the functions envisaged under the Kenya Transport and Logistics Network. Number 9, that the proposed Kenya Transport Logistics Network will affect funding of the entities as funds follow functions. Number 10, that the executive order is ultra-vires the powers of the President as provided for under the Constitution and under the State Corporations Act. That the executive order number 11 is likely to transfer functions of the KPA and Kenya Railways to the National Treasury, contrary to the provisions of the Kenya Post Authority Act and the Kenya Railways Corporation Act, currently under the Department of Transport, without amending the relevant laws. Mr. Speaker, sir, number 12, that the executive order renders all the 3 parent acts impotent without any recourse to Parliament, which has a constitutional legislative mandate. That the counties like Mombasa, which host the Kenya Post Authority as a dominant industry, will be greatly prejudiced as operations of KPA will ultimately be transferred to Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, sir, I kindly beseech this Senate through the Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation to investigate this blatant abuse of the law with a view to restoring the operations of the three state corporations to their rightful management. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Senator wa Mombasa. Ningalipenda sana kama ungalizungumza kwa Kiswahili ukipatiana hiyo hoja. Kwa sababu ya muda, jamani, haya basi, Mheshimiwa Senator Wetangula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this matter is so important that I wish to enjoin the distinguished senator from Mombasa. It is not that the president did it, but it is that the president is not getting proper legal advice. Mr. Speaker, ICDC is established by an act of parliament. Kenya Railways is established by an act of parliament. Kenya Ports Authority is established by an act of parliament. Pipeline as well, Mr. Speaker. How do you wake up and put all these parastatals under one board, under one super management, without coming to Parliament? It's a serious violation of the law, Mr. Speaker. How is the board of KPA going to account to the people of Kenya, the Treasury and Parliament? How is the board of ICDC? And in any case, I didn't quite hear what Senator Mwinyi said. But how do you take a parastatal, a giant parastatal like KPA, and put it under ICDC, a dying parastatal? ICDC, Mr. Speaker, you remember was there at independence, harnessing resources for Africanization. It is no longer functional. It is just there by name. How many times do you hear of ICDC anywhere? How do you now wake up and say railways with a massive debt on SGR, KPA? In fact, is KPA now going to service the debt of Kenya Railways under the SGR debts? This is a matter, Mr. Speaker, with a functioning National Assembly and Senate. We want to see the committee chaired by Wamatangi and the committee chaired by Finance, which is Kibiro, because ICDC would be functional under Finance, Pipeline will be functionally under Energy, Railways will be functionally under Transport. I want you to order, Mr. Speaker, and I request you, these committees to coalesce together and question this executive order, and call the Attorney General to inform this House whether he is actually giving proper legal advice to the head of state. The president is not a lawyer. He will do what he thinks is convenient to his government. But the Attorney General is there as a principal legal advisor to the government to tell them the do's and don'ts within the law and the Constitution. And they are obviously not doing this, Mr. Speaker. I support Senator Haji Mwinyi, and I encourage him to pursue this matter, and you to order that these committees meet together, summon the relevant ministers and the Attorney General above all, to tell this House how this executive order was drafted and executed in the manner it was, in total violation of existing law.
Ni sana Mheshimiwa Kongo Mugeni.
Sana Mheshimiwa Speaker, nataka kuungana na Mheshimiwa Wetangula kwa kueleza kwamba mkuu wa sheria Mheshimiwa Attorney General ako na jukumu la kueleza rais, kiongozi wa taifa, kwamba kitengo 131 cha katiba ya Kenya yasema kwamba Mheshimiwa rais sharti aheshimu na aitetee katiba ya Kenya. Na Mheshimiwa Speaker, huwezi kupitisha nakala ambayo inaenda na kinyume na sheria ambayo imepitishwa na bunge, kwa sababu katiba hii katika kipengele cha pili inasema kwamba hii katiba yetu ya Kenya na sheria ambazo zimepitishwa na bunge ndizo zinatoa muongozo na mwelekezo wa kiongozi wetu wa taifa kuliongoza taifa hili. Mheshimiwa Spika, imefika wakati ambapo tunahitaji kumuita mkuu wa sheria aje hapa bungeni atueleze kama ameshindwa kutekeleza jukumu ambalo amepewa na katiba ya taifa, Mheshimiwa. Kwa sababu hatutaki mkuu wa sheria ambaye anataka kuaibisha kiongozi wetu wa taifa, ambaye anataka kuunganisha Wakenya na kuonyesha kwamba Kenya ni nchi ambaye inaheshimu mwongozo wa kikatiba na wa sheria ambaye imewekwa. Kwa hivyo nataka kumshukuru Senator wa Mombasa ambaye ameleta jambo hili hapa bungeni katika bunge la Seneti, na ningeomba wale ambao watashughulikia jambo hili ni sharti sisi kama wanasheria ambao tunatengeneza sheria hapa bungeni tueleze kinagaubaga kwamba makosa inatoka kwa ile ofisi ya mkuu wa sheria. Naunga mkono kwa dhati ombi ambalo limewakilishwa na seneta wa Mombasa, Mheshimiwa Faki. Asanteni, Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Stewart Mazayo, seneta wa Kilifi.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii. Shukran sana. Mimi pia ningependelea kuunga mkono hii statement ambayo imetolewa na Senator 001 Mohamed Faki wa Mombasa. Kitu cha kusikitisha ni kwamba ukiona KPA, Bwana Spika, imekuwa ndio tegemeo kubwa kwa watu wa pwani. Lakini kwa hivi sasa ukichukua shirika la bandari ukilichanganya pamoja na shirika la reli, alafu uchanganye pia na lile shirika la kupeleka mafuta, bomba la kupeleka mafuta, Bwana Spika, ni ukiukaji wa sheria, na ni jambo la kusikitisha ya kwamba Mheshimiwa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya Uhuru Kenyatta anaendelea kugandamiza watu wa pwani, hususan kiuchumi. Shirika kama hili la bandarini sana. Hivi leo ukienda Mombasa utapata ya kwamba Mombasa ni kama mayatima hohe. Ni kwamba hakuna uchumi wa aina yoyote unaendelea hivi sasa unaoongeza mapato kwa wananchi ambao wanaishi Mombasa. Si wafanyi biashara, si kina mama waliokuwa wakiuza vitu vyao asubuhi kwa watu wanaokwenda katika makazi katika bandari, si watu kupata vibarua pale ndani, si madereva, si wanaobeba mizigo. Kila kitu ni kama ambacho sasa kimechukuliwa, hakuna. Lile bandari hivi sasa tunavyosema imeondolewa. Yes, hata wale kina mama ambao tunajua ni watu walikuwa baada ya kazi wanaweza wanaume wakaweza unaelewa Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, ni makosa sana kwamba uchumi umebadilika, umeharibika kwa sababu ya amri kama hii. Hii amri imekiuka sheria zetu za Kenya na sheria zilizo ndani ya katiba ambayo ni sheria kuu zaidi ya sheria zote. Hivi ni kumaanisha ya kwamba Rais alifanya hii sheria ama hii order aliyotoa, tunaita amri. Hii order aliyotoa, kitu cha kwanza alichokosea Rais kisheria ni kwamba hakukuwa na majadiliano na wananchi wanaoishi katika ile eneo. Ni muhimu, hata katiba inatuambia there shall be consultation. Ni lazima ahusishe wale wahusika wanaoketi pale, kuambia je, nataka kufanya namna hii, nataka kufanya namna hii, nataka kufanya namna hii, mnaonaje? Apate maoni, apate mawaidha. Lakini hakukuwa na majadiliano ya aina yoyote. Sikuona gavana akiulizwa kwamba hii port tunataka kuitoa hapa tuipeleke Naivasha. Sikuona mimi kwamba gavana aliitwa tukaona ya kwamba ameulizwa maoni yako na wale wananchi wako wanasemaje ikiwa hii port tutaiunganisha pamoja na Kenya Reli na lile shirika la mabomba ya kupeleka mafuta ya Kenya Pipeline. Hiyo ilifanywa ukiukaji wa sheria na ukiukaji wa katiba ya Kenya. Na mimi nataka kumwambia rais ambaye nina mwenzi, ni mtu ambaye hana makosa, kwa sababu yeye yake akipelekewa makaratasi anauliza umeona hii ni sawa, anatia sign. Lakini namwambia sasa inaonekana mkuu wa sheria wa Jamhuri ya Kenya ameshindwa kazi, amezembea kazi, na ni jambo la aibu kwa sababu yeye alikuwa hakimu kama mimi. Na mimi nasikitika sana ya kwamba angeenda kwa rais akamwambia hatua kama hii, bwana rais, kabla hujaitia kidole ni kinyume cha sheria, usitie kidole. Lakini alikosea na hakwenda. Jambo la pili ambalo ni makosa makubwa ni kwamba
sawa. Basi dakika moja tafadhali.
Bwana Spika, katika Kenya Railways ni shirika ambalo limefilisika na lilifilisishwa na Wakenya wale walikuwa katika mamlaka wakati ule. Hata mtu mmoja sijaona akipelekwa katika mahakama akiambiwa wewe umefilisisha hili shirika la reli. Hivi leo unapata ya kwamba shirika la bandarini linachukuliwa, linachanganywa na mtu ambaye ana madeni ambayo hata hawezi kulipa mpaka shirika limekufa hivi sasa. Sasa tutakuwa tuwafufua mtu kwa sababu ya bandari? Hivi sasa tukisema hivyo ni kwamba hii reli yenyewe ya SGR imeleta umaskini ndani ya pwani. Imefilisisha barabara yote kutoka Mombasa mpaka Nairobi. Na vile vile Bwana Spika, nikimaliza kabisa ni kwamba
asante sana Mheshimiwa Seneta wa Narok Ledamo Lekina.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you. I would not attempt to speak Swahili after the distinguished senator from Kilifi, because I will just butcher it. But Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to support the statement by the distinguished senator from Mombasa and actually urge him, because he's an attorney and an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, to proceed to court and seek the intervention of the court to be able to suspend Executive Order number 5. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Law Society of Kenya proceeded to court, and High Court suspended Executive Order number 1, which the executive attempted to control the judiciary. Mr. Speaker, sir, what we're witnessing in this country, I keep on saying we've made so many steps forward, but now we are making them quickly backwards. Mr. Speaker, sir, what shocks me is that this House and the National Assembly are the houses which have been given powers by the Constitution to make legislations. Legislations are made by this House, and in making those legislation, corporations are created. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you think of the Kenya Ports Authority, and also when you think about Kenya Pipeline Corporation, Kenya Pipeline Corporation is made under the Petroleum Act. Now, when you take a body that is managed by one act and you consolidate them all into one with an argument that you are trying to instill discipline in corporate governance, and you violate the rule of law, yet you have an Attorney General who is supposed to guide you, then what are we doing? Mr. Speaker, sir, we talk about having a democracy in this country, but it is now a pure dictatorship. And it is a shame that a legal brain that we have of the Attorney General can actually sit down there and see this happening. A former judge of the Court of Appeal. You know, I wonder, what do these people do when they get closer to power? When they sit in that bench, you know, they are called my lord. But then when they leave that bench, they go back and they become what? A street vendor. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is something which is not right. I saw Treasury also directing KPC, KRC, and KPA to consolidate their budgets. You know, I mean, seriously, what are we talking about? We've got different corporations established under different acts. And now, just like the distinguished senator from Bungoma was asking, how do they account for the use of those funds? Mr. Speaker, sir, I tend to think that this country was mortgaged a long time ago. You know, it was mortgaged a long time ago. And when you hear arguments that these three corporate bodies have got assets in a tune of 1.1 trillion shillings, and that their annual budget is about 600 billion, then it will lead me to conclude that it is a way to lie to the Chinese, whom we've taken billions of shillings to them, that we have the capacity to pay. Mr. Speaker, sir, I sit in the Energy Committee, and the chairperson, who is now the chairperson of ICDC, Mr. Ngumi, came to try and respond to issues of the Line 5 Kenya pipeline. And when he came, his own actions as a person who came in and intervened has now caused this country to pay a contractor billions of shillings, millions of dollars, because of his actions. Comes in, interfere with the contract, and now we are losing more money. Isn't this just really a travesty of the rule of law? How do we just allow? And seriously, you know, it is wrong. It is absolutely wrong. And in fact, when we raise issues about, you know, the legality of this
Finish in the next 30 seconds, please.
I'll finish in 30 seconds. Mr. Speaker, sir, it now behooves us, members of this House and the National Assembly, to be able to really demand for accountability from the executive. You know, we keep arguing that, oh, the executive is the one who is giving us money, which is not true. It is this House that the Constitution has given powers to be able to divide revenue between the two arms of government. So finally, I would like to urge the distinguished senator from Bungoma, the distinguished senator from Mombasa, the judge, you know, my good friend from Kilifi, go to court, seek orders to suspend this executive order number 5, because
Thank you very much. Asante sana. Na sasa nataka kumuita Senator Abshiro Halake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's my first time to be in the chamber when you're sitting on the chair, so I'd like to congratulate you and tell you that I can't think of a better person to be sitting there, so congratulations, and we're very proud of you. And especially the fact that you're conducting the business in Swahili is really very impressive. Congratulations. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 47-1 to make a statement on an issue of general topical concern, namely the International Day of Democracy. Mr. Speaker, this was yesterday, but because, as you know, we had a very heavy order paper yesterday, so I will still read it, and because today is also still the week when democracy is being celebrated. Mr. Speaker, as you know, because you're one of the people that I know are really warriors for democracy, the United Nations General Assembly in 2007 resolved to observe 15th of September as the International Day of Democracy with the purpose of promoting and holding the principles of democracy as well as raise awareness about democracy. The essential elements being freedom, respect for human rights, the principles of holding periodic and genuine elections by universal suffrage, and many other rights as guaranteed in our constitution and international law. The multi-party aspect of the democracy is characterized by having different political parties that act as vehicles of expression for the people and actually as gatekeepers into the democratic space. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 wholly supports multi-party democracy, as you know, with the Constitution recognizing it as a right, a human right, and also as a major anchor for egalitarianism. From the time multipartyism was reintroduced in the country in 1992, many political parties have were formed as vehicles through which political leaders are elected to power to represent the people's interest in the governance of our country. Mr. Speaker, even though some gains have been made as envisioned by our constitution, different challenges persist and continue to threaten the democratic space as well as the spirit and values of a multi-party democracy. There is hence a need to build on the key benefits gained and have the challenges effectively addressed. Mr. Speaker, allow me to appreciate that despite the different challenges, the democratic space in this country has, the democratic space as this country has continued to expand and characterized by different democratic activities. Currently, there's different political parties. In fact, just today, we had a webinar, an international webinar on the Day for Democracy, and we have a total of 71 political parties. Is that a good thing or bad thing? I think at the basic level, it is a good thing. Whether or not we will consolidate into much bigger ideologies, that's for us to discern. But yes, we do have a lot of opportunities through our different political parties. Mr. Speaker, despite the country having enjoyed the privileges that come with multi-party democracy, as you've seen with just by the sheer number of our political parties, there are several factors that have recently been observed which ail our democratic space, which also need for us to really look at and make sure that these gaps are dealt with. These gaps include weak implementation of some of the provisions of our constitution and our policies and laws, endemic corruption that has really taken hold and captured some of our institutions, and some of the various human rights violations that we've seen. In fact, even senators in this House have suffered that in the recent past, and the delays in some of the recommendations of TGRC and others that would have made our democratic space even more robust and providing and more constitutional. Mr. Speaker, as the chairperson of Center for Multi-Party Democracy, allow me to zero in a little bit on political parties, that the laws guiding the financing of political parties are skewed in favor of the major political parties in the country, such that those parties deemed to have numbers and our representation are the ones that are funded by taxpayers to the detriment of other smaller parties, especially the first past post approach or winner take it all approach is definitely disenfranchising some of our smaller parties and also constricting the space for multi-party democracy, Mr. Speaker. The lack of laws that govern the conduct of party primaries, and I congratulate you, I know you are a sponsor of that particular law, and therefore we encourage you to continue make sure that these laws are put in place so that then, again, our multi-party democracy is made more robust. Wrangles within political parties, such as those that have been experienced lately, end up weakening the electoral strength of these parties and rendering them unreliable, and also making people lose hope in them as being dictatorial in their approach. Mr. Speaker, today, the Kenyan democratic space continues to face challenges. One of the factors that continue to limit is the corruption, and of course I've mentioned that, and in fact I should just jump that because I've already alluded to that, as well as the failure to implement certain principles of democracy, such as the 2/3 gender rule. Mr. Speaker, the failure to implement this is also constricting democratic space for women and children and youth and people with disabilities, in the sense that the minute the marginalized groups and who's specifically given the provisions in our constitution is not implemented, then again it goes in the face of our democratic space being expanded. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, please allow me to just mention that the role of media and opposition parties in promoting democracy cannot be understated. Unfortunately, in the current dispensation, the voice of the opposition seems muffled and weakened, a situation that has left the government unchecked. While we're not, of course, as Center for Multi-Party Democracy, we're not saying the handshake is a bad thing. It's actually a good thing because it brought a lot of stability and a lot of togetherness and inclusivity. At the same time, there's certain undesired consequences that we're observing that we would like to say we need to look at and we need to check. Mr. Speaker, the media has stepped in as the only major alternative voice in the last couple of months. Of course, this House, and I must commend the Senate, at the Senate, no matter which side of the divide of the House we have sat in, we have dispensed our mandate, we have made sure, and the revenue is also, the revenue formula is a case in point, where this House, where it felt that perhaps some things are below optimal, this House has stood up to this. So I congratulate this House, in addition, and congratulate the media for the role they've played to ensure that certain things have been highlighted in the absence of some of the checks and balances, or below optimal, let me not say absence actually, in below optimal checks and balances that would have been provided by a really assertive opposition. Mr. Speaker, despite this, the media playing a key role in promoting the constitutional guarantees of liberty and freedom of expression for all, there have been instances where these rights have been violated. A case in point is during the 2018, when some of the country's private TV stations were shut down. We don't also want to go back into history, but we also don't want to see situations where media houses can be shut down. So these are some of the things that are pointing to certain high-handedness that we want to make sure in this day of democracy, those are retrogressive things that we need not to see in this day and age. Mr. Speaker, it is our duty to ensure that the democratic space, the values and principles are anchored in our progressive constitution, are protected and promoted. We need to take a proactive approach to ensure that the Kenyan democracy is protected and promoted, as it is the anchor of the wholesome development of this country. Relevant institutions need to be supported with legislative and publicly we need to ensure that they're effective and they perform their role. Mr. Speaker, against the backdrop of COVID-19, a lot of the rights, especially as pertains to people's movements, as pertains to people's access to different information, as pertains to certain regulations that are guiding some of the rules and regulations, have pointed to certain ways in which certain democratic rights of the people have been taken back. While we understand that the regulations, especially in the face of a pandemic, need to be respected, we must ensure as this House that some of the democratic rights are given back as soon as this pandemic is gone. We've seen cases where corruption has flourished because of the emergency nature of some of our procurement. We've seen certain flouting of certain rules. We've seen police brutality in enforcement. These are some of the rights of the citizens that, while under pretext of the pandemic, that we need to make sure as this House.
Can you finish in the next 1 minute?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is therefore my hope that for our own sake, as part of the people, and for the sake of our posterity, we shall all act speedily to address these challenges that are undermining our democracy, and make sure that this House acknowledges that the democratic space in this country was fought for, blood shed for it, and therefore we should not just take it lightly, and we should really protect it as per our mandate. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sana kwa huo mchango mzuri sana, na nafikiri ningalipenda kumpatia nafasi, ningepatia maseneta nafasi waweze kuzungumzia jambo hili, kwa sababu ya vile ambavyo jumba hili la Seneti lipo. Kwa hiyo wakati huu naweza kumpatia Senator Petronila Were. Kama ungalichangia kwa Kiswahili ingalikuwa ni bora sana, lakini sio lazima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the leeway to decide what language I will use. I want to thank Senator Bshiro Halake, who is actually the chairperson of the Center for Multi-Party Democracy. So when she speaks with the authority of the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, which is dealing with the 71 political parties and other stakeholders in the political space. I thank you because this far you have driven that organization very well. I congratulate also the chair, Speaker, Senator Mwaura. It's the first time you're sitting there and me here. So I want to congratulate you, and I know you will do us proud. Abshiro has talked about protection of our democracy and our constitution. And that's what we have been discussing this whole afternoon, protecting our constitution. One aspect of the constitution that we need to protect is devolution. And the fight for devolution, or what we are calling Majimboism, did not start the other day. So we cannot go to sleep. We need to stay awake, protect these gains made from the early 90s to now. We need to protect those gains. And if we'll do it through the Center for Multi-Party Democracy,
Asante sana, Senator Faria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I also wish to thank Senator Abshiro for a well-reasoned statement. Mr. Speaker, I also support the fact that we should have a very robust, political parties. And I also don't agree with the fact that the big brothers of all political parties sweep everything in terms of the funding from the government. There should be a mechanism whereby even if you say the top, top 10, for example, that would be a very reasonable, much more reasonable way of going. Because the more you don't give anything to the smaller parties, the more and given that the internal democracies within parties are also not that transparent, especially for women. There's a lot of, political related violence, on women every time they want to vie for a political position. And the playing ground is not equal. Therefore, you are in a position whereby people can, because the people, in some parties, there are strongholds. I mean, going through the primary is as good as winning the ticket to parliament. But in that process, most of the marginalized groups, I'm talking about the women, the youth, and the people with disability, are always disadvantaged. Because people have, let me just say, people have political muscles. And even political parties support people they pursue, presume that they can support the party in one way or the other. But here are people who would have made a lot of difference to the lives of the people who elected them. But they don't get an opportunity because sometimes those people are, because of lack of, fair playing ground. And that means then these disadvantaged groups will also always be marginalized. Let's say even if they are nominated, like our case, when the critical matters in this Senate are discussed, because of our voting, inability in terms of when it comes to matters concerning counties, then it puts us in a lot of disadvantage, Mr. Speaker, in that you are not part of the people who are voting unless your senator is not there, and then as a delegate, as member of that delegation, you can vote. So, Mr. Speaker, even when they are given an opportunity like nomination, there is still disadvantages that comes with that disenfranchises you. And a lot of Kenyans even don't understand that nominated senators cannot vote on matters concerning counting. My own county, when the issue of revenue came, a lot of people were asking the first day why I didn't vote. Because many Kenyans do not understand that nominated senators cannot vote. They only vote on procedural things, other matters that do not concern county. But main mandate of Senate being matters concerning counties, and the fact that we are unable to vote, that puts us in a very, disadvantaged position. Unlike our sister house, whereby whether you are nominated or elected, at least you have equal votes. Of course, there are a lot of benefits also the nominated don't enjoy that other senators enjoy, which makes us more disadvantageous. For example, even running an office, if you are nominated, you can't even, have a cup of coffee or tea. You can't serve somebody because the Public Service, Parliamentary Service Commission does not facilitate you to do the same, while the elected, whether from national as
dakika nyingine moja, unazungumzia vizuri sana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, some of these things, if prerequisite legislation are passed, so that we have fairness across board. Because when you come here, the person who is in the constituency does not understand the difference between the person who is elected or the person who is nominated. So you are disadvantaged in terms of the nomination process because, sometimes there's violence and stuff like that. And even when you come to the House, you are disadvantaged again because of procedural issues. So, Mr. Speaker, thank you for adding me 1 more minute, and that let us have the political space fairer for all competitors, so that people who would never made it to this House can easily make it through election, Mr. Speaker, so that even in terms of your contribution, it is felt by all. Because even the Houses of Parliament needs different skills. You will notice that most houses, they have people who are either lawyers or political scientists. But in a house like this house, people need different, skills like economists, financial experts, accountants, medical doctors, so that they can bring different thinking and skills, so that at least we enhance each other's decision. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante sana kwa huo mchango mzuri sana, hususan ukiangazia vile ambavyo kule kunyanyapaliwa kuna jikidhiri kabisa katika vyama vya kisiasa na pia katika viti vya kisiasa. Mheshimiwa Senator wa Kakamega Cleophas Malala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Oh, you said?
Samahani, ningalimpatia Senator Malala kwa sababu unafuatia.
Oh, nilifikiri.
Pole, samahani. Senator Malala. Kakamega.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support my colleague, Senator Abshiro, on her statement about democracy. Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues in reiterating the fact that Kenya has achieved a lot when it comes to democracy. When you look at our past and what we are undergoing right now, we are celebrating the fruits of democracy because of what our political forefathers have done in making sure that we achieve these very important elements in our society. However, Mr. Speaker, I would want Senator Abshiro, being the chair of multi-party democracy, the Institute of Multi-Party Democracy, to look into issues on how we can define democracy and how we can implement democracy without necessarily interfering with the rights of human beings, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, some few moments ago, we've seen respectable leaders of this republic. We've seen the chairperson of Council of Governors using his democratic rights, using his political democratic rights to make certain decrees that are going to interfere with human rights in this Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Article 26 is very clear under rights and fundamental freedoms, Mr. Speaker. Right to life. And Article 26(1) clearly says, every person has the right to life. Article 2 goes ahead to say that the life of a person begins at conception. Mr. Speaker, we all know that our hospitals down in the county governments depend on maternity services, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is irresponsible for the chairperson of the Council of Governors to say that hospitals will be closed, Mr. Speaker, because he has democracy, he has political democracy. We would like the chairperson of the Center of Multi-Party Democracy to ensure that democracy is well defined so that people do not misuse democracy to interfere with the rights of the citizens of the Republic of Kenya. I want to take this opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to condemn that act, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the chair of Council of Governors is irresponsible in the manner in which he's handling important matters of this country. You cannot say that county governments will shut up, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's equivalent to saying that one day when the national government will not have money, Kenya will shut up, will shut down, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we shall not accept this kind of leadership, Mr. Speaker. And I want to tell this nation, and as the senator for Kakamega, coincidentally, the governor comes from Kakamega, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the healthcare in Kakamega has deteriorated, Mr. Speaker. And I want to state here categorically that Kakamega County had almost 467 billion, a million Kenya shillings to fight corona, Mr. Speaker. Up to now, no ICU bed has been purchased. Up to now, no masks have been purchased. The only thing Governor Oparanya did in Kakamega was to purchase land to allocate cemetery, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is a shame that out of 467 million, nothing has been done in Kakamega as pertains corona. Recently, we saw him issuing out free masks, masks donated. He said he will purchase masks. He has never purchased even a single mask, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is sad that during corona time, the same governor who is complaining about shortage of money in county governments, he used 12 million shillings to renovate a ward worth 600,000 shillings, Mr. Speaker. In fact, without even following due process of procurement, Mr. Speaker. So we want to tell Governor Oparanya to respect the citizenry of this country. You cannot use your democratic space, your leadership, political, democratic authority to misuse or to misuse your powers as the chair of Council of Governors. I want to state here.
Order, Senator. Nafikiri sijui kama vile ambavyo unazungumzia ni kuhusu hoja ambayo ipo mbele ya hiki kikao ama ni swala ambalo limeshapitwa.
Mr. Speaker, I was very clear and my introductory remarks into democracy were very clear, and I said people should not use political democracy, Mr. Speaker. And I have said they should not interfere with human rights because they have democracy. That is my entry point in this thing. But as I conclude, Mr. Speaker, it is important, Mr. Speaker, to let the people of Kenya know that nobody has got powers to close down counties. As protectors of county governments, under Article 96, we want to vow before this House, Mr. Speaker, that we are going to do whatever it takes. And I'm happy Senator Wetangula was very clear that a white smoke tomorrow will emanate from the 12-member committee. I want to tell Kenyans that we have a lot of confidence with the senators who have been given the mandate to ensure that this impasse and this stalemate has been sorted out. So, Governor Oparanya, we are giving you notice that by tomorrow morning you must give a statement apologizing to the nation and to the people of this country that you cannot misuse your political democratic authority to oppress citizens of this country. Thank you.
Asante sana Senator Malala, lakini umepitwa na wakati. Nafikiri hiyo hoja iliweza kuchangiwa kwa kinaga ubaga, lakini nafikiri kwa sababu wewe ni seneta wa Kakamega lazima ungekohoa kidogo watu kusikie. Sasa hivi ninamkaribisha seneta wa Bungoma, Seneta Wetangula, atupatie pia arifa yake.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I seek my statement, allow me also to join the House in congratulating Senator Abshiro. Pardon? I was called on my statement, but I want to congratulate her before I read my statement.
Sawa, unaweza kuendelea.
Okay, then let me speak to it. Sit down, you speak, then I come to mine.
Ngoja kidogo. Ni sawa, unaweza kuchukua kiti.
Yes, I had flagged in to talk to this statement. Senator Abshiro, Mr. Speaker, since we started CMD, she's the first lady to chair this organization. I congratulated her when she was elected. My party is a very active member of CMD. My national chairman, I think, is one of your vice chairs, Mr. Amuma Ruhu from Tana River. And the CMD does an excellent job. What I would want to encourage CMD to do is not to fall into the path of being bullied by the bigger parties who think that they own the democratic space in the country and who want to subjugate everybody to bend to their whims. Mr. Speaker, Senator Abshiro has all it takes to take this CMD to greater heights. I want to encourage her that in her tenure, she should address a few things. One, to engineer legislation that would streamline the process of internal democracy within parties, particularly at the time of nomination. Nomination of candidates and nomination to persons who go to houses of parliament and county assemblies. It is important, Mr. Speaker, and I think my brother Senator Bogisho would agree with me, that nominations to positions post-election should be rewards for hard work. So this misguided proposition that exists now in our constitution and the law, that you list up people, then they lock in and know that they're going to be nominated if the party wins, and then go to do their own things, because they know that they're already secure. In any jurisdiction, nominations are used, Mr. Speaker, one, to redress the imbalances in terms of disadvantaged groups, is also used to reward party stalwarts for doing a good job to give the party visibility, strength, and good performance in elections. So I would want to see CMD championing this so that we, as leaderships in parties, are freed from locking in people who, as soon as they are locked in as nominated list members, they move away from the party, support other parties, knowing they will come to the House anyway. I remember in the last parliament, Mr. Speaker, there was some senator who was nominated by a party led by my brother Musalia Mudavadi. And she rebelled on day one. As soon as she walked into this house, she crossed the floor and worked with the other side for 5 years and left. And there's very little they could do. Democracy has also come of age in this country, Mr. Speaker. I'm looking at my brother from West Pokot, who has been a victim of a deficiency of democracy. One day he walked to parliament, a member of parliament, and in the afternoon he was not. Because the party that had sponsored him, then KANU, Baba na Mama, had expelled him with my late friend, Senator Mheshimiwa Lotodo. With one meeting in the morning, We hear at 1 o'clock, Mubunge wa Pokot, which was your constituency then, Kacheliba, si Mbunge tena. And that was the end. He was gone and he had to stay out for a full term. This is now democracy working. Parties must also have the respect they have or ought to have for their members and for the institutions of the country. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I just want to enjoin my colleague from Kakamega that abuse of democratic space is an aberration, and we must also resist it. I know I brought here a statement that was widely debated, and I want to thank the chair for according members to speak freely on this matter. Governor Oparanya should be warned, and I joined the House again in telling him that he's biting more than he can chew. He has no authority to do what he's purporting to do. And I want also to send a warning to my governor in Bungoma. If I hear that any health facility is closed, we will come for you. We will come for you. Because the Constitution says every Kenyan has a right to health care. And to close any single facility, even a small facility at the back of a shop that saves lives, is a violation of the Constitution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante sana kwa huo mchango wako, Seneta Wetangula. Na sasa hivi nitampatia seneta wa kiongozi walio wengi, Seneta Samuel Pogisho. Na niwie radhi kwa sababu tarakilishi hii haifanyi kazi vizuri.
Asante sana. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I am very supportive of the statement, the International Day of Democracy. As we mark this day, I want to congratulate Senator Abshiro for the way she has led in this particular area and become a stalwart in the guiding principles of democracy in this country as she runs the CMD, but also even in her own person, a defender of rights and so on. I want to say thank you for becoming very clear on this day of democracy. I am only going to say a few things on this matter. One is that democracy in this country had made certain strides, and we had taken strides to the place where we developed our Constitution 2010 based on democratic principles. But now we have to look at what that document is and its role in making sure that it entrenches good democratic practices. You know, Mr. Speaker, as has been said, we can just mention democracy as though it is a word that means you do what you want to do. And I just want to help also join my colleagues who have told off the chairman of the COG. We've had chairmen before, but this is the first chairman to start issuing edicts and directing other governors and other governments on what to do. And it is not really like Oparanya. I don't know what you guys have done to him. But, but I just want to say this, and that even before he issued that statement, the leader of minority and myself had written to him a note saying, please, we're working on this matter. This week we're working on this matter. Be patient. Don't issue a statement. And he received that note and still went ahead and issued that statement. So we are really saying that if this is the way we're going to work with the Council of Governors, then we even have to revise our own strategy on how to work with them. Because if you cannot agree on something and it works, then democracy is at a loss. I want to say something about that. I think democracy in this country is yet to be devolved. And I think when we devolved it to the governorship and the governors, for some reason, especially the one who is in my county, thinks he's equivalent to a president. And so would run the place like the way the president is running the place. And I want to say this, because I have seen that Professor Lonyangapu, who is my governor, has started interfering with the county assembly. And he's warning the speaker and telling the speaker of consequences. He's determining what happens there. And I've said, and he said, when I ask him, he says, But, you know, if the president can do this, I can do it. I mean, this is not the president. He's not the president of any country. And I think that we need to assure these governors that you serve the people. You don't rule the people. You're serving them. You're a servant. And if we can adopt that, democracy is respecting the boundaries. There is nothing in the Constitution that says that a governor can walk to the county assembly like mine has done, Professor Lonyangapuo, and walked and sat in the speaker's chair and started addressing the MCS. You know, so is that point of order? Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to say we must devolve it to the levels. Is that somebody? Why don't you say if it is? A point of order. But are you catching her?
No, kindly proceed, Senator Pogisho.
Okay. Yes. You know, that is my friend, so I thought maybe she has something to inform me.
Tafadhali, muda umeyoma sana, ndio sababu pengine haya basi Senator Faria, lakini nilikuwa najaribu kufanya umalize.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to ask, I just wanted additional information for him to give us. Was Oparanya asleep when the president was saying that this settlement will be done after the additional money, or was he in the room for real? That's the thing that I wanted him to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just additional time, just 1 minute, because I think we were there with him. We were there, and we were all excited about the offer and the additional amounts of monies, and so we worked together. And I just wanted to say that he needs to be. But one thing he must not do is to issue statements that are contrary to the Hippocratic oath that doctors take. Doctors can never refuse to admit anybody. You know, it's a province to treat people. So anyway, Mr. Speaker, I just want to say that we need to increase our level of understanding. Now, the other one, which is in closing, is our own Chapter 6. Is Chapter 6 our integrity issues? We must be tied to our democracy. So that when we are going to elect people, nominate people, like my friend from Bungoma is saying, nominate people whom you can see also are not thieves. They're not going to steal from the people. They're not going to harm people. And so, Mr. Speaker, we must combine our democracy with also our integrity and our values. So as we talk about democracy, we must emphasize that the next time you see somebody complaining that they have a bad governor, they knew that governor was bad when they were going to nominate them, and even when they were going to elect them. And because then we call them later on and say they are now stealing from us. I think we must begin to see the quality of people that we nominate to our parties, and that's a challenge to party leaders like the senator for Bungoma. So I just want to say I support, and hopefully as a country, we celebrate with the rest of the world this day of democracy. Democracy is facing challenge, Mr. Speaker. Democracy is facing the challenge under this COVID challenge. And so we're having challenging times. And now you can see even bigger democracies having problems. And so it looks like we are all the same, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to facing issues in the world. We must go back to a place where we are a league of nations together and work together. Thank you very much.
Senator Wetangula, una dakika mbili pekee kwa sababu ya muda.
Mr. Speaker, my statement is long, comprehensive, and the reason the distinguished Senator for Kakamega is here is to speak to it, and the Senator Petronila Were. I would request, Mr. Speaker, that you give me priority tomorrow so that we are the first on the statements list. It is so important because it touches on the lives of the people of the Western region and Nyanza, the sugar belt, and the misguided program to lease out factories to create a monopoly to kill our farmers. So I request that you give me priority number 1 tomorrow, Mr. Speaker.
Sawa, hiyo ni sawa. Tusimame tafadhali kwa sababu muda umefika. Waheshimiwa maseneta, sasa hivi ni saa 12:29 wakati wa kuahirisha mada za bunge la Seneti. Kwa hivyo sasa kikao cha hii bunge la Seneti kimeahirishwa mpaka kesho siku ya Alhamisi tarehe 17 mwezi wa Septemba mwaka wa 2020 saa 8:30. Oh, haya sawa. Ninaendelea kusoma.